Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was son of King Black and became supreme evil dragon god movie. Before we start, please go support IsseiOmniversalCaos for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made, there will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Chapter 1. Everything has a beginning that is sometimes beautiful but also sad. This story begins in the Black Dragon faction. A place where there are only evil dragons as well as humans. The evil dragons of that place are of amazing but also destructive power. All were ruled by King Black, the evil dragon god who was on par with Trixia and God, but even so he was a fearsome being and hated by the angels since he killed many of their brothers and as a reason they wanted to declare war on him. Humans lived peacefully alongside the evil dragons, but the three factions angels, fallen angels, and demons were not exactly happy about them as they feared the dragons would turn against them and wipe them all out. King Black was observing from a mountain his entire faction, which had more than 10 million evil dragons and 500,000 humans who had partners with dragonesses, females, or dragons, males. But Black was very nervous and that was because he was expecting the birth of his two firstborn children. That's right, he was expecting his two children, his wife Hala, the evil dragon queen who was formerly one of the 5 most powerful dragon queens who surpassed Tiamat and celestial dragons like Drag and Albion. Black. I'd better go see her. He takes out 4 dragon wings and goes in the direction where his wife was. The inhabitants of the faction were excited to know what the prince and princess of the kings were like. Black arrives where his wife was, but before going in to see her, he hears 2 cries that make him cry little by little. Why? 2 babies crying, one a girl and the other a boy. Black enters and sees his queen holding 2 babies in her arms, one with black hair and purple eyes and the boy with dark brown hair, but also some black parts and blood red eyes. Wow, they're so beautiful, she said, looking at her children with tears of happiness. Black. Yes they are, love, they are very beautiful, also crying with happiness. Black takes the 2 babies in his arms and goes out to introduce everyone in his faction to his newborn children. Black. Attention my subjects, here are the future kings of the Black Dragon faction. Everyone saw the king lift his daughter and son with both arms, being shown by Hala, Princess Anastasia and Princess Issei. Everyone shouted with excitement and even began to applaud enthusiastically, but what they didn't know was that they were being watched by spies from all 3 factions. When the 3 spies went to inform their leaders, they were frightened to learn that the king and queen had 2 children, so they organized a meeting about what to do with the Black Dragon faction. Lucifer. Well, now that we're all here, there's only one thing we need to do. What to do about the Black Dragon faction? Many had that same question until Michael spoke. Michael. We must kill all the evil dragons in that place, as well as the humans, since they betrayed their own people to go with those beings. Below him. It is true, I created them and they betrayed their own race, but it is better to let those beings live a little longer, while they help create the Dragon Slayer, Berserk, and even Samuel. The 3 leaders were scared because Samuel was extremely powerful, capable of killing even the dragon gods and evil dragons, but someone disagreed with killing everyone in the Black Dragon faction, and that was Leviathan. Leviathan. Are you okay with doing this? You're going to kill people who haven't done anything wrong. Everyone turned to look at her, but she was telling the truth. They weren't doing anything wrong other than being in their own faction and nothing more. Lucifer. You may see them that way, but they have done bad things, Leviathan, and that is why they must be eliminated. Besides, they could be a threat in the future, so that is why we will finish them off, so that the world is safe from them, because they are a threat. Leviathan. Fine, she gets up from her seat and says I will not get involved in this, because I at least appreciate what they are beings who only seek peace, but you are afraid of them because of their power and what they are capable of, but remember this, you yourselves will be creating a monster if some survive, and when you realize your mistake, you will have created a monster that will only seek revenge against all of you. And so she leaves, just like all her soldiers. 10 years later. 10 years have passed since the birth of the 2 princes of the Black Dragon faction, and things have improved. Anastasia had great power, superior to her father's, reaching Trixia. Issei had no power other than great strength to destroy everything in his path with his blows, among other things, but he was learning to use magic. At this moment we see a boy with brown and black hair running and behind him came 2 girls, the first one had black hair and purple eyes, very beautiful, and the other one had short black hair with a blue streak and blue eyes. The first was Anastasia, and the other was Issei's friend and fiancée, Anna Apocalypse, the princess of the other evil dragons of the end of the world, a place where more powerful evil dragons are found. Anna was betrothed to Issei at birth when he was 2 years old and she was 1 year old. They got along so well that they would even go for walks and see the whole faction from the sky. Issei. Come on, is that all you can give when you run? Anna. Ice-kun, you're very fast, wait. Anastasia. It's true, Ani-chan, you run very fast. But then the castle trumpet sounds, so the three princes go to see what's happening. When they arrive, they see their father talking to Anna's father, Kaido Apocalypse. Black. It's good that you're here, Issei, your mother wants to talk to you, the two of you will talk. Issei goes to where his mother was, who was somewhat weak since she had almost no magic left, and that was because Issei absorbed it without him realizing it. Issei. Mom, did you send for me? Paula turns to look at her son with a smile. Hey. Come here my child. Issei is walking with a sweet smile for her. Issei lies down on his mother's chest and she begins to stroke his hair. Paula. Listen, Issei, as a brother, it is your duty to always take care of your sisters, no matter where they are or what danger approaches. That is why I ask you to take care of your sister and protect her forever, because you are the future for this generation. Issei. Hi, I will protect Wani-chan with my Mita-oka-san. So he happily leaves his mother's room to go flying outside the castle for a while. But on the other, more specific side, with the three factions. In the place where they always hold a meeting, the leaders of the three factions were ready for battle and wearing their armor. Lucifer. It's time we changed with them. Back with Issei, he was walking but also humming a song that his mother used to sing to him when he was a baby. But something caught his attention. He went to look behind a tree and saw something that left him very scared. In front of him, or rather in the distance, all the armies of demons, angels and fallen angels were approaching in the direction of his faction, and he even felt the dragon slayer energy. Issei. I must warn Oka-san and Otu-san. He ran with all his might to warn them, but he also had to warn everyone about what was approaching, and when he arrived at the village, he shouted. Issei. Run. The factions are heading this way, they want to kill us. They've brought Samuel and the dragon slayers. Flee quickly, save yourselves. Everyone was terrified when they heard Issei's screams, and when they flew to check if what he said was true, they saw it with their own eyes. All the armies were coming for them, and there were more than 30 million of them. Obviously, they would be nothing against them. Everyone started running with their children and some other things. Issei rushed to the castle when a fireball fell near him, destroying a house and killing a human family. Issei looked up only to see a large number of fireballs heading towards them, but the evil guardian dragons were moving to fight them, giving him time to go and save his mother, sister, and fiancé. Issei arrives and sees many soldiers lying dead on the ground with swords buried in their bodies and learns that the leaders had arrived before him. He managed to reach his father, but to his surprise, he was dying, as he had a sword stained with Samuel's blood that was slowly killing him. Black. Issei's son come. Issei runs to get to his dad. Issei. Otu-san, please resist. Black. You son of a you must leave here as soon as possible with your sister and Anna, you must not be discovered by the factions. Issei. I don't want to leave you alone, I don't want to, I don't know what to do without you, Otu-san, please don't go, not now, please. Issei was crying uncontrollably on his father's chest, who was looking at him with a smile, while his face slowly turned black. Black. You were very brave and strong, son, but you must live your life always protect your sister. Issei. I promise you, Otu-san, I will protect her. Black smiled proudly at his son, but he closed his eyes until he stopped breathing, leaving Issei crying uncontrollably. A strong tremor shook the castle, and when he looked out the window, he saw that his entire faction was already in flames. Children, women, men, and dragons lay dead in the streets and houses. He could hear their cries of supplication and the sound of swords being plunged into them. Issei goes to see his sister, but to his surprise, she was safe but hugging someone's body, and that was his nanny who was raped by demons until she died. Issei. Anastasia, run. There's no time to lose. She's already gone. We must run quickly. Anastasia didn't want to leave, but she had no other choice. The castle collapsed, killing all the servants there. Issei was running, but also saving people who were about to be killed. For a moment he was almost cornered along with his sister, if it hadn't been for his mother who appeared and saved them by killing the demons. Issei. Oka-san. Hey. Quick, follow me, I'll take you to a hideout. The three of them start running, but then they stop because they see a large legion of angels, so they hide in a house. Issei was scared but desperately searched for someone, and that someone was Anna, who had become separated from them while helping a girl escape. So he looked out the window and saw her being grabbed by fallen angels and demons. Demon? Haha, she looked so cute and innocent. Fallen angel. Haha, maybe your fiancé is here, so let's give him a chance to come for you and give his life in exchange for yours, huh? What do you say, prince? If she's your fiancé, come and save her like one, or is she afraid to die? Issei wanted to go, but Anastasia stopped him. Anna. Don't come, Ice-kun. They'll kill you. Don't come. You saved others, save them. You matter to me, so run. Get out of here. The fallen angel smiles wickedly and approaches her. Fallen. Well, if your fiancé isn't coming, we might as well have some fun with you. He makes a dagger appear and with one cut tears all her clothes off, leaving her naked. She tries to cover herself, but the fallen men grab her hands and stop her. The fallen man who had torn her clothes approached her perversely, taking out his member, which frightened Anna because it was large, and she, being a child, was afraid. Anna. No. No, please don't hurt me, please. Fallen. Shut up, you're going to enjoy this, you leave and be our mascot ha 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 ha. With one thrust, he shoves his member deep inside Anna, who screams in pain until she cries, but the fallen man doesn't care and begins to penetrate her violently. Anna tries not to moan, but it's impossible. Issei, who was watching all this, tried to go, but Anastasia hugged him to stop him, but she cried just hearing how they were hurting her. Fallen. Haha, you are very tight, but my friends want to have fun so it's better. He takes her and lies down while she stays on top, but a demon grabs her buttocks and puts his member in her anus, making her scream louder, but she couldn't because a fallen one puts his member in her mouth, violently violating her mouth, making her choke for lack of air. A few minutes passed and in her eyes there was only emptiness, she lost all light in her eyes, the demons and fallen ones violated her without mercy, a white liquid came out of her anus and vagina, and I hope, but she was bathed in that same liquid as well as in her mouth, her belly looked somewhat swollen. Fallen. Haha, you were very good, but anyway it's time to go. They leave Anna dead, alive. Issei runs out of the house and kills those who raped her with one blow, but he did not have control of himself because he did not learn to control his anger completely. Anastasia approached her friend and burned her with her fire so that she could rest in peace, but the soldiers were still approaching because they felt the energy of Hala and her children, so she took them to a place that was a secret tunnel where she would take them to a safe place. Hala. This is where the tunnel is, you must follow it to the end of the tunnel, there you will find a cabin with things to survive. Both children did not want to leave, but they had no other choice. Issei. Please, mom, come with us, please come. Hala approached him and said that on his forehead. Hala. Someday you will be able to take revenge on everyone, my son, but the time is not yet right. You must be strong, and when you manage to overcome your limits, you will be an evil dragon god, the most powerful of all time. Issei just hugged his mother, but upon seeing the soldiers, he tried to take his mother away, but she pushed him away, and Issei saw her for the last time when she was decapitated with a god's sword. Issei fell to the ground with a broken heart, he lost everything, his people, his parents, his fiancé, but he still had his sister, but now everything would be different. The clan was destroyed by God and the leaders, so that no one would ever betray their kind again, as a lesson, but they had to lie, saying that they would turn against him. Now they must both survive together. Chapter 2. 15 years have passed since the faction fell. Now the factions were searching for the children of the former kings of that clan to kill them once and for all. Both children were still children because they were immortal, and now Issei no longer trained. He decided to get rid of his power since it was a danger to some, and even more so to him and his sister if someone found them. Now they lived in a cabin in the underworld far from Lucifer's home. They ate everything their mother left for them in case of emergencies like the one that happened. Issei was sleeping in his bed, but Anastasia was awake on his chest and was caressing his chest with her index finger. She loves him very much despite taking away her power, but she doesn't. Her power increases with time, making her stronger than before. Anastasia. I love you, Ani-chan. Issei slowly began to wake up, but when he opened his eyes he saw his sister on his chest with a sweet smile. Anastasia. Good morning, Ani-chan. Issei. Smiles, good morning, Ani-chan, approaches and kisses her forehead, did you sleep well? Anastasia. I slept well, she gets up and stretches, then yawns, come on, let's eat now, the food runs out tomorrow, so we have to make the most of it. Issei changes his clothes and goes to eat with his sister, but they are being watched by none other than Great Red in office. Office. We must do something, Great Red. Great Red. I know that girl is becoming a threat to everyone on the planet. If she continues like this, she will be more powerful than all of us combined, and Trixie too. Office. We must make an extremely strong seal so that she cannot use her power. Great Red. If his father senses pure evil and bloodlust in her against the factions. The two of them went through the dimensional rift to warn their father, a dragon of great power, the one who is above all dragons, Helios the supreme dragon god, the first dragon god and the true king of dragons. In the cabin. Issei and Anastasia were just finishing eating when. Well, look what we have here, lads, the bastard sons of the Black Dragon faction. They both turn around and see 30 armed demons, all pointing their weapons at them. Issei. No, wait, please leave us alone, we haven't done anything to you. Demon. Haha, yeah right, you wanted to declare war against the factions. Issei. Who said that against us? Demon. Elohim told us. Issei was in shock because he couldn't lie, yet he considered them a threat because of their power, and because of them, his faction was destroyed, as was his family. Issei. Please leave us alone, we would never do that to you. Leave it, Ani-chan, I'll take care of it. Issei glances up and sees Anastasia releasing some power, and in her hand there was a very powerful purple fire. Issei. No, wait. Turns to the soldiers, please wait, we just want to. I don't continue because Anastasia knocked him out and she was still releasing more power to the point that her hair was standing up and her eyes were turning reptilian. Anastasia. No one will leave here, she invites. Behind her emerged two gigantic dragon wings that covered the entire cabin. Outside, lights could be seen appearing, as well as heart-wrenching screams, until they stopped. The demon managed to escape the cabin alive, but he looked terrified by what he saw, so he went to inform Lucifer of their location. 15 minutes later the little prince woke up on his sister's lap, who was stroking his hair. Anastasia. You woke up, Ani-chan. Issei stood up, but his gaze only reflected sadness, since he had made a promise to his mother to protect his sister, and she hadn't done the same for him. 2 days passed and Lucifer learned the location of the two princes. But the dragon gods are already planning something. Issei saw that the food had been enjoyed, so the only option was to go directly to the city of the underworld. Issei. I'll go to the city, Ani-chan. Stay here, they won't be long. Asian Anastasia and a small kiss on her cheek as I was telling her to be careful. So he leaves, leaving his sister alone to decide it's best to sleep for a while. Above her there appears to be a dimensional rift from which emerges a large red figure and a gothic loli who was Office. Great Red. We have to do that child is already gone. The Office was already close to her and after saying a few words, she began to glow a bright red color until a seal appeared that had been placed inside her to prevent her from using her power against the factions. But Office, who was not at all sad about what she was doing, could see the future in which she died. Office. I hope you can forgive me. I had no choice, but father said you're a threat, so I'm sorry. They both leave, leaving the young princess behind, but 20 minutes later a noise wakes her up. She goes to the entrance and sees 50 demonic soldiers with swords that have the blood of Samuel and also Dragon Slayer. They began to close in little by little, but she tried to use her power and couldn't, but she also received an electric shock which left her a little weak. In the city of the underworld. Issei had a bag of bread in one hand and rice and food that could last him for a week in the other. I was about to warn them when I saw people running towards the plaza and others were saying as they ran. Is it true that they are about to kill the last member of the Black Dragon faction? Yes, that's what they saw today, capture her. Finally, those bastards are going to end up extinct. Although they are a threat, they must be eliminated. We'll have to see how they carry it out. Upon hearing that his sister had been captured, Issei started running and threw away the food. In the plaza there was a large open space, but from there a list opened up from where a huge square began to emerge, about 50 meters long and wide, only 3 meters high, with steps so that anyone could climb up. But in the center was none other than Anastasia. Around his neck was a rope that was tied to a horse. Just as his hands and legs were tied with ropes and held by horses at each corner. Once upon a time, there was a crowd talking about other things. There were soldiers there too, so that anyone could pass by. But among that crowd appeared Issei with a look of despair for Salvador, his sister. But when he tried to pass, the soldiers wouldn't allow it. Soldier. Attention, I am the last daughter of the Black Dragon faction. I will be executed right here. But Anastasia screamed. Anastasia. I'm going to eliminate you all right here and now. But when she tried to use her power, the seal appeared and she realized that someone had taken her power while she was asleep. Issei tried to pass but he couldn't. Then he shouted. Oni-chan. Anastasia, I will listen to you. Cerrito opened his eyes and looked to where his beloved brother was. The soldier whipped something that causes the first horse, which was tied to Anastasia's neck, to move, making her groan in pain as it was beginning to stretch. But before that happened, she took a deep breath and sighed, saying a few words that couldn't be heard or that no one could hear except him. Anastasia. Upon hearing those words, he went into shock. Then a soldier began to pass by, lying down. No, the horses began to walk, slowly stretching Anastasia's limbs. She didn't scream or anything, she just remained silent. Little by little, the club began to hear the turning of the bones as they stretched and broke until. Crash. Every place for the prince turned black and red. Where he was on the floor turned red, and the black square too. From the steps she began to fall until little by little she began to slow down, but something was thrown out, none other than Anastasia's head with her eyes closed. Issei picked her up with care and gentleness, finally pressing his forehead to hers. Issei. Don't worry, I made a promise to Mom to protect you no matter what. He stopped because blood came out of his mouth. Then he realized that 5 spears with Samuel's blood had pierced him directly in his chest and stomach. Issei. Maybe I couldn't protect you here, but I can bring you protection on the other side. Just let me wait a little while, I'm on my way. Lucia closed her eyes and remained like that until she stopped breathing and then died. The soldiers took his and his brother's bodies to a place near where they were going to be burned. The people shouted with joy at having finished off the last of the Black Dragon faction. But on the other side, Issei awoke in the faction, or what remained of the city that was once his. He looked around, but right in front of him was Anastasia, looking at him seriously, but with a smile on her face. Issei. Wani-chan. Anastasia slowly began to approach him until her forehead was against his, and she bent down, since he was already crouching. She took his cheeks in her hands and planted a kiss on his lips that lasted a few minutes until they separated, leaving only a trail of saliva between them. Anastasia. I love you, Ani-chan, but it's not your time yet. You must fulfill the purpose for which we have called you. He was bewildered, but then all the inhabitants who had died in cold blood at the hands of the fallen angels, the angels and the demons, appeared. As well as those who managed to escape but were killed. Issei. Why did you call me? I don't understand. I should be with you. The reason you can't be here with us is because we all chose you to wield the power of the legendary Black Dragon and fulfill the vengeance you carry in your heart. He turned around and saw his father, Black, with his mother and his fiancée. Hala. You suffered a lot, my dear son, but despite that, you kept going. You proved yourself capable of overcoming the past. But in the end, you're here with your sister. Perhaps you want to join us, son, but it's not the right time yet. Issei. But I want to be with you, I don't want to be without you. He feels like someone is taking him and his cheeks and he doesn't see anything, and it was Anna. Anna. I wish you were here too, but you still have to be there. You must show them who the real monsters are. The biblical God did this to us all out of fear of our power. He was the cause, just like the dragon gods who cast their power upon Anastasia. Upon hearing that the dragon gods had sealed his sister's power because they considered her a threat, Issei began to rage so much that the place began to shake, but above them something was breaking. Black. If you want to take revenge on them, accept our power and that of the legendary Black Dragon and become the most powerful evil dragon god of all. He was having a battle in his mind, whether to choose or not, but in the end he decided because he began to remember the moments he had been with his family and the moments when they were taken from him, even his sister. Issei. I accept their power so I can take revenge on them all. From the people began to emerge spheres of black, red, purple and blue, which began to rotate above him until they merged, creating a gigantic 100 meters sphere of black and red color. Little by little he began to descend until he fell, joining his power with theirs. Even above, everything shattered, and in the sky there was a gigantic black dragon about 500 meters tall that gave all its power to Issei. He opened his eyes, which were red as blood. In the real world, his body was already burning. The inhabitants who were there screamed with excitement. Then Lucifer appeared in the castle. Lucifer. Today we have finished off the last of the Black Dragon faction, and now there is no dawn that can destroy the factions. Everyone screamed with excitement because, in truth, there was no threat, or so they thought, because out of nowhere everything began to shake violently. Cracks appeared everywhere, but something also began to emerge from those cracks. Black smoke began to move towards a single place. Red spheres emerged from the people, also heading towards a single place. No one understood what was happening in the sky. All the clouds began to gather, but lightning flashed everywhere, blood red in color, too dark. The inhabitants were afraid because there was an aura of death and vengeance. Until they realized it was spinning around Issei's burning body. Issei opens his eyes and everything he swore around him becomes clear quickly, and in a huge beam of light, he fell into the reel from a gigantic explosion 10,000 meters high, 900 meters wide, and with a shockwave of 500,000 kilometers. The entire city was destroyed. Some survived the shockwave, but all were terrified, as the city was now more than just a game. There was a huge cloud of smoke where the lightning struck. Around 10,000 pureblood demons died. But from the smoke came a crackling sound that made everyone's skin shudder. Lucifer turned his head in fear. Then the smoke filled the air and everyone stared because they were hearing growls and other sounds until they saw something terrifying. Where 2 large blood-red eyes suddenly appeared, then something let out a huge terrifying roar. It seemed to flap its wings so violently that smoke rose up and the thing that was rising into the sky was accompanied by smoke to prevent them from seeing what it was. But now Lucifer had the worst problem. He was realizing that they had created a monster. In the dimensional rift, the 2 dragon gods felt something for the first time that no one else had ever felt. Fear. They sensed the great power that appeared out of nowhere from the underworld, but not only them, but also the beast of the apocalypse, and every faction felt the power. The dog, hunting with the creature that appeared, kept flying, preventing them from seeing what it was. But then it headed more towards the Black Dragon faction. Where there is land, the earth began to surround it until it formed a sand dune, and it has some structures like buildings and other things. Until he falls asleep. But the factions would face something worse than the beast of the apocalypse, something they themselves created out of the fear they felt from the Black Dragon faction. Chapter 3. The Battle. Dragon Gods versus the Evil Dragon God. 20 years have passed since that event that happened in the underworld. Many people died in the explosion and even more in the shockwave. Lucifer was very upset and wanted to find the culprit, but he disappeared without a trace. Many demons said that this being was a dragon. Others thought it was perhaps the resurgence of a higher demon, but Lucifer knew it was a dragon because of the roar it let out and how it flew away at top speed. But during that time Elohim and his children have had nothing good because they have entered into conflict to the point of declaring a massive war that would break out in the human world. 20 million demons. 20 million angels. 20 million angels, including Elohim. But the 2 celestial dragons would also be there. And the 2 dragon gods to face Issei. The war began with a great massacre. Thousands of beings were fighting and dying at the hands of those who were formerly brothers or sisters. The fallen ones launched countless spears of light, killing many. The fallen cadres fought against the leaders of the underworld. Elohim was fighting against Lucifer in a battle to the death where. It's simple. In the former Black Dragon faction, which was now rubble and some well-maintained but completely uninhabited structures, a large earthen mountain and towers on top of it could be seen. Elohim. Why Lucifer? I don't understand. Why are you declaring war on us? Lucifer brings out his wife and says. Lucifer. Simple father, there can only be one king, and that will be me when I'm finished with you, because after what you did to this faction, there's no one left who can help you. Elohim looked at what was once the Black Dragon faction. Elohim. I know I committed a very big sin, I lied to everyone saying that they wanted to destroy us, but I was only afraid that they would turn against them. Lucifer. Yes, but now I will be the new god of the world. Both of them rush forward to fight again. Great Red was fighting in his 300-meter tall dragon form, and Office was also in her 290-meter form, against Issei. Issei. They are somewhat strong but not strong enough. He lunges at Big Red, sinking his teeth into his neck, causing blood to flow from his mouth. Office goes to help him, but Issei slashes him in the face with her tail, and then removes her net teeth, before shooting a very powerful fire at his body, causing him to fall onto a gigantic structure that collapses on top of him, causing great physical damage. Office gets up but is hit by Issei's claw, which leaves marks on her face. But he didn't stop at all. He kept biting and hitting Office all over, leaving her almost weak, but he was only using some of his power to fight against them. Issei. Ha 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 ha, they claim to be the most powerful dragon gods that ever existed, but they can't stand up to me. When I surpass my limits, I will be another dragon god, even more powerful than any that could exist, and I will even be the 7th dragon god out of the 6 that exist, including that bastard who is hiding in his own dimension. Office. I won't allow you to speak to father like that. He is stronger than you. He decides whether or not you can be part of the 7 heavenly dragon gods. Issei. Hahaha, you don't tell me yes or no because this is where your pathetic life is going to end, since I. Issei dodges a very large beam from Red, who looked very furious, but the attack continued advancing very quickly, being seen by everyone who wanted to know where it was going. To their surprise, the attack exploded right on a large structure that was on top of the sand mountain, which ended up splitting in half, and the other half fell, being sucked into the sand, just like the other one. But another one collapsed with a large bell. Which hits the ground and ends up sounding, being heard by everyone. But. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr began to shake very violently. The great mountain of sand, something gigantic, began to rise, buildings fell, and red rays appeared, gigantic spines of what appeared to be a gigantic being were shown, then there was a long and strong tail with spikes near the tip like metal spikes, as well as others further away from the spikes like ribs, but made of metal and the rest like plates of scales. Everyone was terrified by the immense being that was rising up, revealing a dragon's head with horns and red eyes that only reflected hatred, revenge, and sadness. Lucifer. Everyone, take cover. The soldiers saw a large amount of dust coming with force, carrying many away, but those who managed to resist saw what they feared most. Demon. It's a giant dragon. And if it was a colossal dragon, 350 meters tall, with a terrifying appearance to everyone. The dragon gods were shocked to see such a powerful dragon, larger than Issei. But someone was even more terrified, and that was Gabriel, the most beautiful and strongest seraph in heaven. Gabriel. The one from my nightmares. The dragon's great foot touched the ground, killing many as they were crushed. It's the dragon from my nightmares. He said for the last time, watching the great dragon advance through the city, crushing the soldiers who were on the ground. The dragon's jaw was revealed as it approached, terrifying the leaders, who were somewhat weak, but fighting against a dragon of great power that appeared out of nowhere terrified them. The dragon was shown looking at the leaders, but upon seeing them, its hatred increased even more. The dragon's eyes turned redder, and its roar was of pure hatred and vengeance. With a gigantic flap of its colossal wings, it rose into the sky until it fell to the ground, raising a great curtain of dust and killing many, as many debris also flew out. The leaders were watching the dragon seriously until Lucifer took his scythe and started running to harm the dragon. The others watched in amazement as he wanted to confront such a dragon whose power was unknown. Lucifer. Take this, you damn demon court. Gabriel. No, Lucifer, wait, don't do it. She tried to go and stop him, but she was stopped by everyone. Lucifer leaps high, and the dragon opens its mouth, waiting to eat him, but Lucifer saw that he intended to do that, so with his scythe, red from the attack he was about to make, he strikes, but… crack. The scythe shattered as it tried to cut the dragon's tooth, but then it realized that its teeth were stronger than the hardest metal that could exist. He began to fall, but the dragon opened its jaws as he fell until he touched the ground. The dragon closed its jaws, but Lucifer managed to get out, stopping at a wall. But the great dragon slowly approached him, while Lucifer retreated for the first time in fear. The dragon roars, and Lucifer sees its blood-red eyes that only reflected hatred for him. But he is bothered by multiple attacks from the demons, which were a bore to the dragon, who opens his mouth, and from it a black sphere shoots out, which, when it explodes in the air, forms a black hole that absorbs the demons that attacked him. The others went to confront him, but the dragon roared in annoyance and threw a powerful purple flame at them that burned them down to nothing but ashes. Issei recognized the dragon's aura and backed away in fear upon seeing the dragon's piercing gaze. Therefore, he only bowed in respect to the gigantic dragon. The two dragon gods were shocked that the beast of the apocalypse would bow before him, but even so, Office and Great Red did not lose hope of fighting him and proving that they were stronger than that dragon. Office took her dragon form and went to fight first so that Red could recover his energy. Office lunges, but the dragon is faster and ends up hitting her with its tail, leaving her with serious injuries because it had metal spikes on its tail. Office gets up but is attacked by the dragon who bites her neck and she roars in pain, but still she throws fire in its face, making it let go. Office thought she was saved, but the fire goes out revealing the dragon's gaze which drooled and showed its sharp teeth and bloodshot eyes. Office shoots a purple beam from her mouth, along with fire of the same color, hitting the dragon hard, but he didn't feel tickles or anything, because his skin was stronger than any dragon scale. It spreads its wings and gives a powerful flap directly into the flames, which went back to Office, who could not dodge it, and it hit her, causing an explosion that killed many around her. Office falls onto some buildings that collapse and fall on top of her, but she still manages to get up with difficulty. The dragon appears in front of her and strikes her with its claws, tearing off one of her horns, making her roar with a pain she will never forget. But even then, he did not stop, as he seemed to have a great aggression towards the two dragon gods. It grabs her with its paws and claws and begins to fly, but not so high that she crashes into every building there, causing her to suffer as some parts of the buildings pierce her. Finally, he drops her onto a large building the same size as himself, so Office had to endure the pain of the fall and what remained stuck in her back, but the dragon gives a strong kick to her stomach. Then he grabbed her by the neck and slammed her head against a building, then he went to the other one until he reached the third. Office was suffering from a lot of pain. The dragon wouldn't stop for anything. It gave him countless blows and tail whips, but it didn't show any of its abilities. But what would happen if it used them? Office gets up again and this time fires her most powerful attack, a gigantic purple flame, but something makes her retreat. The great dragon is shooting a kind of wave at her, but like a ray. He hits her with more intensity and strikes Office in the chest, making her back like never before, causing her to crash into many buildings until she crashed into a mountain. He thought that was it, but no, the dragon bit his neck and something purple began to flow through its teeth until it reached him, and out of nowhere his body began to undergo changes. His wings became bigger and thicker, his arms became more muscular, his sharp claws became longer, his tail also became longer, his body grew, and his plates too, new teeth and terrifying teeth appeared in his jaw. Her legs became bigger and stronger. 2 more horns grew on him. And he takes Office by the neck with his hand or claw, brings her close to his head, and roars at her. Then he releases Office and puts his paw on its head, applying more force and making it sink into the ground. He turns around but it lashes out at him, making him roar in pain, but then it started hitting him harder and harder. Until finally he was ready to end her life once and for all. He grabs her with both claws, forcing her mouth open. The dragon's chest was glowing a very dark red. Boku also began to glow, and Office tried to break free, but it was useless, and when she was about to fire the beam, she received an attack from Red, who was ready to fight in his dragon form. The dragon releases Office and returns to her human form, but she is badly injured and almost dead. Now the dragon was seeing Great Red, the dragon god of dreams. Elohim was somewhat scared and for the first time felt fear upon seeing a dragon whose existence they did not know about. He defeated Office, the dragon goddess of infinity. Everyone looked to Great Red for hope, as it was stronger than Office. Red. I don't know who you are, but this ends here, and you'll see who's stronger here. The dragon did nothing but watch it with its eyes. Red started running towards the dragon who just started walking towards Red. Red jumps to sink his teeth into it, but he didn't know that the dragon would grab him by the neck and then sink its teeth into his neck, taking him to the center of the city. Red struggled to break free, but the dragon wouldn't allow it, and at a convenient moment, it cut me across the chest with its horn. Dark Dragon, that's what I'm going to call him, roars in pain and furiously strikes him with his nails on the neck and then on the chest. It bites him intensely on the neck and tears off pieces of his armor or scales, causing him to roar like never before. But he couldn't continue roaring because Dark hit him on the head with his tail. Red stops and goes to Michael again, still in pain. He bites Dark on the neck, then moves away and throws fire that hits his body, then takes flight and launches more attacks that hit him, causing a large smokescreen. Red thought he had finished him off, but a green beam came out of the smoke, hitting one of Red's wings, causing him to lose control and fall to the ground with his wing burned. The smoke disappears and Dark remains there unharmed. Red was now truly scared. Dark raises his right arm, and with a great blow to the ground, giant rocks began to rise towards Red who did not have time, and a large rock hits him in the chest and girdle with the mountain. Even so, he throws fire at him and hits him hard, and this time it made him back a little. Red, seeing that, had an opportunity and went to a place where there were many accumulated buildings. But he launches countless attacks in all directions, raising a great deal of dust, making it impossible to see where he went. Dark looked around after the fire disappeared and had trouble seeing where Red went. He receives an attack on his back and turns around, firing his wave and destroying 2 buildings. Then he receives another blow to his arm and gives a great tail whip that destroys 5 buildings with its force. He received many attacks from different directions until he got fed up and ended up shooting a green and black thing out of his mouth everywhere. The lightning destroyed everything in its path, but afterwards Red was nowhere to be seen, except for a large passage of fire where the lightning had passed. It spreads its wings and roars, but a strange symbol appears above its jaw looking at the sky, and from there 10 red rays shoot out into the sky. He lowers his head, and thousands of red beams plummet down on different parts of the city, creating explosions and killing more demons from both races as well. Until finally he hits Red who takes flight and throws a large sphere of energy that explodes next to him and finally damages him because 2 scales fall to the ground. But that wasn't enough. He was distracted for a moment and Dark appeared right in front of him. And he hits him in the face, making him move, but Dark gives him a tail whip that forces him to fall to the ground with great force. Red stands up but receives 2 bites on his left arm and right shoulder, revealing 2 heads identical to the central one. 2 more wings, larger than the previous ones, sprout from its back. The others lose their skin and become bones, but these are stuck in the net back. The pain he felt when it pierced his back was stronger than ever. But Dark roars to the ground again, and 10 black rings appear on either side of him. Red didn't understand what they were, but then, red rays came out of there and hit his back, which slowly began to glow, until the accumulated energy caused a massive explosion that destroyed everything around him, leaving a large crater. Red loses many parts of his armor, including his 2 wings. Red almost fell to the ground, but the 2 heads bit him again, this time Dark started to fly taking Red with him. While they were flying, they were seen by everyone. Office could barely see them and felt sorry to see Red suffering. When they were in the atmosphere, he extended his wings and pushed Red away a little, then shot a beam from his mouth, hitting him in the chest and causing him to start falling engulfed in flames. Dark could see him as he fell with an almost satisfied expression, but even so, that wasn't enough for him, so he decided to get down. Red was almost about to fall because he crossed the clouds, and there was little left before the impact when Dark got on top of him, accelerating the fall even more. When it finally hits the ground, I raise a shockwave, but not a very powerful one. Red was furious because he was humiliating him, so he decided to make the biggest decision. He gathers all his power in his chest where an orange and red sphere is forming. Little by little the sphere grew until it reached an enormous size. Red throws the sphere to Dark, who was far away from him. The sphere was so large that it seemed small to Dark. The sphere touches the ground right in dark, everyone was smiling, thinking that it would end him, but their hopes disappeared when out of nowhere black clouds surrounded the sphere, making it shrink little by little. Until the sphere was the size of Dark's head, so the sphere enters Dark's chest and he does nothing. But then he fires a huge red and black beam at Red that hits him all over his body, carrying him through the mountain, along with many soldiers and buildings until… boom. An explosion over 30,000 meters high, with a radius of 8,000 meters wide, and a powerful shock wave that spread across half the planet was present on the network. Who was still alive but lost an arm, lost half of his face, his tail was cut in half, his armor was destroyed, and his wings were damaged. He falls to the ground almost dying, but sees Dark approaching. Dark puts his foot on the net's body and… it extends its arms and wings, roaring to the sky as a sign of its victory. He removes his foot after roaring and looks at the leaders, even God, who didn't have time and was devoured by Dark, his head falling off. The demonic leaders tried to escape but were also eaten or crushed by his claws. I let some live. Others say that he went far away from there, leaving a great memory and great fear in many. Humans who saw him viewed him as a god who would protect them, but others viewed him with fear. From there arose stories about him that spoke of a great dragon with immense power. And they named him the evil dragon god of emptiness and annihilation. The stories became legends, the legends became myths, and the myths became children's stories. The story says that the dragon disappeared from the planet without a trace, but others say that he is just hibernating until he decides to wake up. But time passed and the dragon never appeared again. In the current year everything changed completely. Those who knew the dragon would return awaited its return, unaware that beneath the city a great dragon slept, but little by little, it would awaken from its great slumber. Chapter 4. 2,000 years have passed since the Holy War and the battle of the two most powerful dragons. Since then, humans have viewed dragons as beings of protection. They saw in Dark Dragon something better than supernatural beings. He was a guardian dragon who only wanted revenge against the factions that were at war with his faction and for stealing his sister's power and unjustly killing her. Humans began to praise the dragon as their god of emptiness and creation, for since he left the war, the Dark Dragon revived many people and brought life back to many war-affected areas, causing trees to grow and more animals to be born. The story of the Dark Dragon became a legend a myth, the Mutts a fairy tale for children. Even now, the story of that dragon still existed, but for them, it was just a legend that perhaps existed. But the truth is that legends can be real on some occasions, and many people knew that that dragon was still alive and hibernating somewhere on the planet. Now let's move on to Kuoh, Japan. A beautiful place for many people, everything normal, or so some believed. Hello everyone, this is Kuoh radio station to announce that in 2 weeks, the most spectacular eclipse ever seen in history will occur. An eclipse where the sun will turn red, the clouds black, and the sky red. An eclipse that only happens every 2,000 years, but don't worry, scientists have calculated that the eclipse will last a total of 4 hours, and then… I can't continue because the entire city began to shake violently, cracking the streets, mountains, and buildings. People were screaming in fear, cars were swaying wildly, and light poles were falling to the ground. The rumbling could be heard several meters away, birds were flying erratically, and dogs were barking. The tremors eventually stopped, but they did leave some areas damaged, with some buildings and houses collapsing. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. This is the 5th earthquake that has occurred this month, ladies and gentlemen. Scientists are unable to determine the epicenter, as the earthquake was so strong that it was felt in different parts of Japan. But don't worry, the earthquakes may be for a specific reason. But there was a reason for that, since for several days there have been countless tremors of 4.9 to 8.0, and the one that was felt was 8.3. People are terrified by the tremors that have occurred, but there were 2 girls at Kuoh Academy in an abandoned building, one with crimson hair and a good body, the other had short black hair and a not so developed body, but she was very beautiful. These were Rias Gremory and Sona Sitri, both high-class demons who really like the human world, but also the legends that exist throughout the supernatural world, but the one they liked the most was the story of the Dark Dragon. When their parents told them the story of that dragon, they were so fascinated that they looked for more information about it, but there was nothing more to find. Sona asked her mother if she knew the story of the Dark Dragon, but she didn't answer because she and her family kept a secret that would soon be passed on to their daughter. Rias was the same, but they weren't going to let themselves be defeated just because they didn't know the truth behind that story and wanted to show everyone that that dragon existed a long time ago. The people of the Sitri clan knew the story of that dragon because, as the mole Leviathan had told them, the story of how that dragon killed the biblical god Lucifer. Rias is the 5th Sona, doesn't that seem strange to you? Sona. If all this is happening precisely on the day when the red eclipse is approaching. Rias. It is strange that something like this happens. Sona. You laugh, don't you think everything is happening because of that story that Okusan told us? Rias was surprised, but she no longer believed in that story or that dragon. Rias. That story is nothing more than a simple story that was made up. Yes, maybe that dragon existed, but it must be dead. Sona. Don't forget that that dragon couldn't have died so easily without first taking revenge on the two dragon gods. Rias. Sona is just a legend, you have to grow up, you can't let yourself be carried away by simple stories that are already a long time old. Sona still believed in history. Sona. I'm maturing, but you don't believe in that story. What would happen if that dragon existed? The teacher I read said, when the red eclipse appears in the sky, the great black dragon will rise from its hibernation and bring destruction to the dragon gods who took his sister from him. Rias. Basta, Sona is just a legend. Rias went home, leaving Sona there, but she knew that story was true because she had read that in the Holy War, a colossal dragon appeared that defeated the dragon gods very easily. Sona. I know you're real. On the outskirts of Kuoh. More than 9,000 meters away from the city, in the mountains that reach heights of 800 to 1,000 meters, something was happening. Beneath those mountains, large cracks opened up seemingly out of nowhere. Some of them flowed toward the highest peak until they stopped. From the cracks, the rocks that were stuck there began to fall, but they collided with the walls or rocks that were still stuck there, making them smaller and smaller. At a depth of over 1,000 meters, the crack had created a great abyss, or so it seemed. At about 1,500 meters deep, a tunnel could be seen from which many people wearing grey hoods could be seen. There were men, women, and children wearing hoods that only covered part of their bodies, but not their faces. They held lit torches in their hands so they could see, as it was very dark. Hooded figure. Keep walking, we're almost there, the bracelet is leading us straight to him. But who were they referring to, or who were they looking for? Well, to the void dragon or the dark dragon. They were the ones who believed in the existence of the dark dragon, since their ancestors were the ones who saw what the dark dragon was like in the prophecy. They searched for the void dragon for years, but couldn't find it anywhere on the planet until they discovered that, well, as before, the continents were joined together and the supercontinent was called Pangaea. They discovered that the place where the war broke out was in Japan, and the dragon went into hibernation somewhere in the mountains of Japan. They had magical artifacts that allowed them to see or search for very powerful evil energy, but they only found traces of the void dragon in different parts of Japan, and they all went in one direction: Kuoh. The city of Kuoh was where the evil energy came from, and it was also where there was the greatest magic and evil dragon energy under the mountains. They entered through a secret tunnel behind a large stone, but before entering they saw carved drawings of a great four-winged dragon fighting two other dragons. This obviously represented the battle between the Void Dragon and Great Red Anophis, the dragon goddess of infinity. As they walked through the tunnel, they saw skeletons on the walls, but they could see that they had bat wings, angel wings. It meant that they were demons, angels, and fallen ones who were killed thousands of years ago and were placed on the walls, and their heads, now skulls, were nailed to the walls all in rows. There were more and more of them until there was nothing left when they entered the tunnel that the crack opened. They counted more than 20,000 demons, angels, and fallen angels dead, a total of 60,000 skeletons. They knew that the demons and the other two races deserved it because if they hadn't destroyed and killed the Black Dragon faction, none of this would be happening. The world would be in natural order and balance. Since the dragon went into hibernation and his story became a tale, everything changed as the years passed. On the present date, everything has worsened. There were grapes of women aged 17 to 24, turning them into hex slaves of fat millionaire men. There were robberies, murders, pollution, overpopulation, wars, deforestation, animal hunting, among other things, and that was the reason they wanted the Void Dragon to live out its hibernation. They wanted it to restore balance to the world as before and to once again become the great supreme evil Void Dragon god, but for that, it had to end the reign of the celestial dragon gods and Helios himself, who was responsible for its evil nature. They wanted Issei, or the Dark Dragon, to live happily with his sister, but it wasn't to be. Returning to the story. Everyone kept walking, but a woman with long black hair and grey eyes was holding a little girl with the same black hair and grey eyes in her arms. Her name was Byakurin, she was a 7-year-old girl, and she wanted to meet the Dark Dragon because in the story she admired the form and what that dragon was like, in addition to the fact that he defeated the most powerful dragon gods who were almost about to become celestial dragon gods, but after the defeat and humiliation they suffered, they were no longer named celestial dragon gods and remained only as dragon gods. Rin. Mom, will we really find the Void Dragon here? The woman looked at her daughter with a smile. His name was Kyasa Byakuya, 43 years old. Kyasa? Of course, love. Rin. But what if that dragon is dead? His mother was going to speak, but a man spoke first. Hooded figure. Don't say that, Rin. The dark dragon cannot die so easily. He must live to fulfill his objective and destroy the reign of the celestial dragon gods. Hooded. If you are right, little one, when he returns from his hibernation he will bring order back to the whole world as it was before he hibernated. Hyasa. Once upon a time when. Leader. We've brought. Upon hearing that, everyone saw a glimmer of light ahead, so they began to run until they reached a large and enormous cave, a cave over 800 meters high and long. It was so much that they couldn't see it clearly or even calculate its size. As they emerged from the tunnel, they surveyed the area. Large, incredibly hard bars of rock supported the ceiling, or rather, the surface. But then they noticed something shocking. The bracelet Rin wore around her neck, a red gem, began to flicker. She takes it and sees another, larger gem in the well near the ravine and notices that it is missing a piece. Everyone started murmuring. Rin takes off the necklace and pulls out the gem she had inside. She starts walking until she reaches the largest gem, then carefully puts the gem in its place. As soon as she puts it in, the large gem begins to glow with a very strong eye color. Then they notice how red and blue lines begin to emerge from the gem. They could clearly see that the lines were heading in different directions, illuminating the cave more and more. They saw that the red lines were also coming out of the surface. All the lines were heading towards a single place that they couldn't see because of the darkness, until when they all came together in one place they saw something that shocked them, but also filled them with fear. All the red lights were grouping into a larger gem, and as it filled up, more red lines began to emerge in a pattern that gradually revealed something that looked like a giant beast. Until finally everyone's eyes were wide open like saucers. Right in front of them was what they had been searching for years. The torches that were already stuck in the walls lit themselves, all of them ignited until they finally illuminated the entire cave. The leader, seeing this, could not contain himself and began to cry and knelt down. Leader. 10 years searching and we have finally found him. The balance of the world will return, now that we have found him, brothers and sisters, after 10 years of searching, we have finally found him, our king and god of the world. But who were they seeing? None other than the void dragon in hibernation, covered in rock all over its body. The gem was its heart, and what entered it was the wrath and vengeance of every human being on the planet and of the city of Kuoh. Leader. The void dragon will be reborn. Everyone started shouting with excitement when they finally saw him. But in reality there were more and more hooded figures coming out of the tunnel, and there were more than 1,000 of them following the dragon of the void. Leader. Soon, my lord. Soon he will return from hibernation and bring order to the whole world. I will return and destroy him, I will destroy you, Helios. I advanced from chapters 5 and 6. The supernatural beings believe he is dead. We will show them the terror and destruction he had to endure when he saw his people die. The prophecy. Sona. If he awakens he will bring order to the entire world and end the other factions that were present in the destruction of his faction. Rias, please believe me. Rias. Sona is a legend, he's dead, someone who's dead can't come back. Sona. What if it's not true? What if he's alive? These tremors are happening every day, that's not normal. He'll come back and then. Half. The sound of a slap and Sona's cheek is red, and when Rias saw what she did, she wanted to apologize to her friend but. Sona. Don't touch me. You and I are no longer friends, and from now on, don't ever speak to me again. Legends are real and this will only bring darkness to the supernatural. Gabriel. Brother, he's about to return. Michael. Everyone get ready. I want you to search high and low for that dragon. I don't care how long it takes, find it before it wakes up. Julio. No matter how much you search for him, he will kill us all. It's time to face the consequences of our actions. Please forgive me. Forgive me, friend. I never meant to do this. Forgive me, Issei. The dragon that once ruled the world will return. Rin. I want to serve the void dragon, Mom. Hyasa. He will choose a woman to be chosen to serve and be his queen until the end of time. Rin. I would like to be one of his women. Hyasa. Calm down, love, it won't be long before you return to life, sir, you will bring order to this world. When there is light, there will always be darkness. Yes, leader. Go to Japan. If the legend is true, we must prevent him from awakening. Leader of Japan. It is impossible to fight against the void dragon, he is very strong, nothing can kill him except him. Once the light turns red, he will awaken from his eternal rest. Brothers and sisters, it won't be long now. The red eclipse is about to form, and then he will return and bring death and darkness to heaven, hell, and Grigory. Rizevim. Ha 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 ha, the dragon of the void, you will fall at my feet. I know the weakness of every dragon in his hand. He held a sword bathed in Samuel's blood. When I kill you, I will take your power and become the most powerful being in the entire universe. It's a surprise that you want to join us for the awakening of the Void Dragon, but tell me, why did you join us, Lady and Lord Sitri? Lady S. We want the dragon to come back to life and destroy the other houses of the underworld. For years we have been tired of how they treat us, and I want my daughters to have a good future. I'll have no other option but to fight you. Issei, I didn't want to hurt you or your sister, but you were both dangerous, so forgive me, but if war is what you want, then you'll have a war. They're almost there. It won't be long before you and the celestial dragon gods fall at my feet, and when I steal their powers, I'll be able to destroy him before he comes back to life. My revenge is almost about to begin. Haha. The factions will fall. The dragon god of the void. Which girls do you want me to put in Issei's harem? Do you want me to include Godzilla and the Titans, or just the supernatural beings? Which factions do they want Issei to let live? Which underworld houses do they want to live alongside the void dragon? Chapter 5. Leader. My lord, don't worry, we'll have everything ready for when you return to life. The leader saw the gigantic dragon that was on the rocks, although it seemed more like it was trapped or something like that. The lava where there used to be a volcano came down and covered the giant dragon's body like a blanket, but even so, the void dragon moved as if it was about to awaken, and for that reason, many tremors occurred in Kuoh and beyond Japan. Leader. Prepare the columns of sacrifices. We must have everything ready for when he awakens by the light of the red eclipse. Everyone else began to leave the tree and started walking down. The gems shone with every step they took as if they were guiding their path. When they reached the bottom, they began to place magic circles everywhere, since according to the legend, wherever the void dragon is, it will always leave objects for its subjects. They made magic circles everywhere, searching for the things the dragon might have left for them. Until one of them found something, his magic circle shone brightly with an emerald color, so using his sacred gear, which is like a sword, he destroyed that part with a single blow, revealing things that could be useful for their sanctuary of sacrifices. Man. Come and see. They all went to that place that was near the dragon's wing. When they arrived, they saw that there were swords, ropes, and concrete pillars that they could carry because of a seal that made them easy for anyone to carry, and if they removed the seal, they would be very heavy because each one weighed 5 tons. Leader. Please help us take everything to the exact place for the sacrifice. Everyone started taking out what they needed for that. There were swords, axes, gold, gems, magic stones, powerful talismans, objects that contained protective diamonds inside that, when activated, create a force field around the person carrying them, preventing them from being harmed or killed by long-range attacks. 8 minutes later, everyone had gathered what was needed. The offerings were still being arranged for the sacrifice. They had to place them at just the right height so the dragon would devour them. But they weren't the sacrifices. They were demons, angels, and fallen angels. The dragon harbored a deep hatred for those 3 races, and since he didn't know about the new races that had emerged during his hibernation, it was complicated. But they knew the dragon would let those newly born races live because they knew the dragon only wanted to destroy demons, fallen angels, and angels alike. Leader. Over there, we need more pillars, be careful. The leader was happy after 10 years of searching, he finally found what he had been looking for years. Since he was a child, his family told him that they were followers of the great void dragon. They had the mission of finding the void dragon so that he would bring peace and tranquility to the entire human world and prevent them from being destroyed by a being who wished to destroy that world. That is why they wanted him back. He promised his parents he would find the void dragon, no matter if they thought he was crazy. He would still continue his mission. Later, he began to encounter people who were also searching for the void dragon. He created a cult which he called the Cult of the Black Dragon. Many people who knew the legend was real went to this cult and joined. Each person who went carried a sacred gear, and they were people from all over Japan and some parts of the world who went to that place to join the cult. But in every place in the world they never managed to find anything about the dragon, but they came across wise people who told them to search deep in the birthplace of Japan, where more supernatural energy would be concentrated. They knew the Kuoh was the place with the most supernatural activity because of the rogue demons and the fallen who were killing people, but they wanted to kill those demons and fallen without caring if there was another war because the void dragon would finish them off once and for all. The leader, whose name was Itsuku, was 28 years old, with black hair and gray eyes. He had a family that had also followed his cult for years. He was already married and had 3 children. Itsuku watched his children play, and he was happy because he loved seeing them grow and play. The void dragon shared part of his power, giving some people more years of life and eternal youth. There were 500,000 people in the world, some of whom were over 2,000 years old or were young and could live for many more years, but not that many, and that was the work of the black dragon. Being someone of great power, he was immortal. He could not die, no one could kill him. But he sees one of his children walking with his eyes closed, but he was walking towards a long board. Everyone sees the child and yells at him not to go any further. Itsuku. Son, stop, don't walk. The boy takes off the blindfold and sees that he was on a plank that was at the edge of the ravine. The boy looks down, and it was a great height. Son, walk slowly towards me. The boy obeyed his father, but something happened. Since it was dark, bats awoke and flew toward him. Seeing the bats circling him, the boy tried to shoo them away, but it was no use. Because of the excess weight at the end of the board, the boy and the board fell into the void. Itsuku. No. Itsuku screamed in horror. His son, his youngest son, had fallen into the void. But miraculously, he saw something amazing. His son was floating, radiating a red glow. The boy touched the ground and ran into his father's arms, who received him with open arms. Child. Dad. I was scared, I'm sorry. Itsuku. Calm down, the important thing is knowing you're alive, but how is that possible? Man. Look. Everyone sees that he was pointing at a part of the dragon. Everyone turns around and sees that it was the dragon's claw. One of its fingers was not covered by the volcanic rock, and you could see the scales, and that meant one thing, he was already waking up little by little. They see how the dragon's finger moves him a little. Itsuku. It was him, he saved my son. The void dragon knows we're here and saved my son. Thank you, my lord. Everyone bows, knowing he was slowly waking up. Surface. The sunlight began to diminish, and that was because it was already getting dark. Everyone began to go home to rest peacefully. The children said goodbye to their parents, and their dream world came to their minds. In a house a little far from the city, a two-story house like the others, there lived a very beautiful girl with brown hair whose name was Issei Hyoudou, 15 years old. Appearance. She was returning from a friend's house, but her face only reflected sadness because her life wasn't all that great. Her family didn't love her. Her parents hated her for not being like her brothers and sisters. Ryu, 19 years old. Izumi, 17. Max, 18. And Akame, 16, the pride of the Hyoudou family. They were good at their subjects, but she wasn't good at sports, activities, or music. Well, they were good at everything. She had strange dreams of seeing a colossal, terrifying dragon over 500 meters tall. She was in a strange place she'd never seen before. She saw beings like humans, but with bad and black and white crow wings. 3 places were destroyed, and these were representations of Gregory, heaven, and the underworld. Those 3 factions were destroyed in that girl's dreams for no specific reason. Issei. Sigh, I just hope they don't yell at me or something. Issei opens the door and closes it carefully to avoid making any noise or anything. She walks slowly. But why were you late? Issei got super nervous because her mother Mickey hit her for no reason, or well, sometimes she did hit her for getting bad grades. Issei. I stayed because my friend needed help with her homework. Mickey. I don't care about that. I told you to arrive at 8 o'clock sharp, and look, it's past 8:20. Besides, they called me saying you got a 7 on the exam. Issei. I'm trying hard but. Her mother slapped her, and Issei's cheek was red. Mickey. I don't care if you're trying hard or not, you should be good like your brothers, not like the shame. I wouldn't want people to see us as a disgrace to our family. Issei. You have never loved me, you have not given me gifts like you do with your other children. To you I am only a burden. Mickey. You'd better shut up, you damn woman. He slaps her again, this time so hard that he knocks her to the ground. Mickey goes to the kitchen and when he comes back he's wearing a belt. Issei. And no, mom please no, don't hit me. Mickey. Shut up and get what you deserve. From the 2nd floor, Izumi, who was in her room, heard her sister's screams. T hit me. Please stop. Please. Don't hit me. It doesn't hurt. It hurts. Izumi just covered her ears and cried because she didn't like seeing her sister being beaten, but she couldn't do anything. Izumi. I'm sorry, Wani-chan, for not helping and defending you. Izumi peeks out of her door and sees Issei coming upstairs crying, blood coming from her nose, bruises on her arm, and her back being very red and bleeding a little. Issei locks herself in her room. Izumi takes advantage and goes to Issei's door, but she didn't want to open it, she wanted to listen. Why, what did I do to deserve all this? They're not my family. They've never loved me. I wish they would all die and go to hell. Izumi heard the sound of breaking glass so she left. Her mother didn't come upstairs or anything. She was outside preparing dinner for her children and her husband, who was about to return from work. 10 minutes later, the whole family was having dinner, everyone except Issei. Her parents didn't feed her or anything. She prepared her own food. Since she was a child, she had learned to cook with her grandfather Juzo, who taught her his favorite dishes. Izumi felt bad when she didn't see her sister sitting there. Mickey. Daughter, eat or you won't have any more brain activity. Izumi, yes mom. Guru. Yes, food is good for increasing intelligence. If you don't eat well and study, you won't be anything like your stupid sister who's good at nothing and just gets in the way in this house. Ryu. Yes, I hope they get her out of this house. Mickey. And I will, son. I'm planning to kick her out of the house when it's vacation time. I'll send her far away and erase her birth certificate and the family name. Guru. If she doesn't deserve the surname Hyoudou, then someone who only dishonors our family's honorable name doesn't deserve it either. Izumi was upset to hear that, but didn't know what to do. When everyone had finished dinner, Izumi prepared a plate of food for her sister, went upstairs and arrived at Helena's room, although it wasn't really a room since it was at the end of the house. She went to the end of the hallway and knocked on the door, but no one answered. Izumi. It's Wani-chan, open up, I've come to bring you dinner. Issei didn't answer, but the door opened by itself. Izumi entered and saw everything in disarray. The photo of her and her family together was torn to pieces, drawings made for her parents were also destroyed, and paintings of her as a baby that said "For my beautiful baby" were also destroyed. Issei. What are you doing here? Izumi looked around and saw Izumi on her bed near the window reading a book without looking at Izumi. Izumi no longer cared for any of her siblings, especially not Izumi, since she stopped loving her when Izumi stopped defending and helping her when her parents beat her. Izumi approached a little but saw her rag covered in her blood on the bed. Issei. I ask you, what are you doing here? Izumi. I just came to bring you dinner, Wani-chan. Issei. You call me Wani-chan, how shameless you are, stops looking at the book and looks at Izumi, who was terrified by the cold look directed at her, you stopped having the right when they were hitting me. Izumi. But we are. Sisters, only blood sisters, you can't say I'm not yours. Issei. Shut up, you don't know how much I hate having this blood that disgusts me. You have no idea how much I suffer every day because of your disgusting parents. You have no idea how hard I try so that at least they congratulate me. They never loved me. It was just words like "I love you, my girl," or "I will always love you no matter what." They are just stupid words that come from some damned old people who only care about not being the shame of this family. Izumi. I know what you're going through, but I can't do anything. They're without my parents and… Issei. That's why I hate you. You never help me with anything. You never defend me when they hit me, that's why I hate them, I hate you. I hate your parents. I hate this family, I hope they die someday. Get out. Izumi cried because of the words Issei was saying to her. Izumi. Boo, but Wani-chan. Issei. Didn't you hear me? Get out. Izumi left crying, her heart broken by the words Izumi had said to her. She just stood against the wall and fell to the ground crying because of those words that hurt her like never before, even though she deserved it. Izumi. Forgive me for not being a good sister to you, Issei, I'm really sorry. Izumi passed the plate with the dinner through an opening in the door, as if to receive the letters, carefully put the plate back in, along with a glass of juice and left. Issei saw the plate but went and threw it out the window. She didn't want anything to do with her family because she hated them more than ever. Issei already had her dinner. She secretly had her own stove and things to bring to eat or have dinner. Issei goes back to bed and picks up the book her grandfather gave her when he passed away. She was reading a book about legends, weapons, and other magical things that were passed down from generation to generation. But what was he reading? Well, I was reading about the Void Dragon, the great dragon of darkness that can destroy the entire world without much effort. Issei. Once the dragon awakens from its possible hibernation, it will bring peace and kill those who have only harmed innocent people. Those who are pure of heart and have never done anything wrong, it will let live and give them gifts like eternal life, immortality, powers, many things you desire, it can grant, but only if you prove yourself worthy. The dragon has a great hatred for angels, fallen angels, and demons. These three races ended the existence of the Black Dragon faction and its family. Its anger and thirst for revenge awakened the great power of the ancient Black Dragon, and as a consequence, it ended up giving all its power to him, just as the spiritual people of its faction surrendered their powers to him to destroy those beings who provoked its wrath. It ended the life of Elohim, also known as the biblical god. Issei was in shock upon hearing that the biblical god was dead. The Void Dragon ended his life, just as it humiliated the gods. Dragons, feared by all supernatural beings, saw the Void Dragon as a being they had to respect. Nothing could harm the Void Dragon. Humans saw the Void Dragon as their god and guardian of the world because he brought peace and balance. He resurrected. Many people died because of the Holy War. We only need to wait for the red eclipse to arrive and the Void Dragon to awaken from hibernation. Issei turned the next page to a drawing of the Void Dragon as it appeared on the battlefield. For Issei it was admirable to see the image of that dragon that always appeared in her dreams and always told her, "Coco is almost here, so you can stop suffering, little one." Issei instinctively caressed the drawing of the dragon and her cheeks turned reddish. Issei. I hope you're real, I want to meet you so I can go far away with you, Issei. Issei saw the moon, but she saw something else in the distance. She saw birds flying away in fear until an earthquake shook her house. Things fell, and she could hear dogs barking, cars driving by, and glass breaking. The tremor lasted 2 minutes until it stopped. Knock knock. Her doorbell rang and she gave a cold stare. Wani-chan, are you okay? Issei gets up and locks her door, and she also put a padlock and a lock on it because she didn't like people just walking in like that. Wani-chan, just let me in, let me see if you're okay. Izumi was outside in her pajamas, and Max was also watching this, staring at the door. Izumi wanted an answer and she got one. I'm fine now, go away. I don't want to hear your voice, much less see you coming in, so leave. Izumi lowered her head sadly and went to her room. Max was also a little sad, as he didn't like seeing his sister like that either, but what could he do? The next morning. Issei got up very early and went downstairs to prepare her food and went to the academy since she didn't want to see anyone, much less talk to anyone. Issei was in 2nd grade. When she arrived at the academy she saw that there was no one there yet, so she decided to go in first. The janitor and supervisor saw Issei go in first. Supervisor. Hello Issei, so early. Issei. You already know me. Janitor. Good luck dear, I hope things go well for you. Issei. Thank you. Issei enters the academy. Janitor. Good heavens, that girl always arrives very early. Supervisor. Yes, that's true, but what can be done? It's normal. She doesn't want to see her parents or siblings. Janitor. Yes, I hope that girl leaves that house so they stop hitting her. The nurse told me that she sleeps well because she studies at night. She goes to the infirmary to sleep or to get treatment for the bruises and cuts she has. Supervisor. Oh well, we'll have to do something someday to help her. With Issei. She left her backpack in her classroom and as she was about to leave she saw someone behind the glass. It was like a girl or young woman, about 12 years old, with black hair and purple eyes. You have suffered a lot, little one, don't worry, when he wakes up everything will be different for you and for every boy and girl who has suffered like you. Issei runs to see who it was, but when she leaves the room she is very surprised to see no one. There was no one there, and besides, it was impossible for her to run, since the stairs were more than 17 meters away at the back. Issei thought it was just her imagination, so she decided to go to a place she really liked. But actually, on the other side of the corridor was the same girl. You are the bearer of the celestial dragon drag, girl, you are also the bearer of my power, so you must learn to control it if you wish to serve alongside him. The girl disappears as if she were nothing. With Issei. She was under a tree near the kendo club watching as the others began to arrive and enter the rooms. She didn't care about that and continued reading the same book as last night, only now she was reading information about the Black Dragon faction. Issei. Information from the Black Dragon faction. It covered a vast area, over 20,000 meters long and reaching a maximum of 300,000 meters in length. It boasted large buildings ranging from 200 to 700 meters in height or more. It also had a large population of both dragons and humans, totaling 10 million inhabitants. The dragons of this faction held ceremonial feasts where the spirit of the Black Dragon chose the ideal woman for the faction's leader. They would then have hex in front of everyone, regardless of the ceremony. When the man impregnated the woman he had chosen, she was blessed by the dragon spirit, receiving a portion of its power and youth. This practice had been carried out for centuries, generation after generation, until 2,000 years ago when they ceased it due to a massacre within the faction. Issei closed her book. Issei. That's a lot of information about the Void Dragon. Are you reading that book, Issei? Issei smiles and turns around, seeing her 3 friends. Murayama, Cadis, and Kiryu, although the last one was a pervert. Issei. What can I say, girls? I like this book my grandfather gave me. The girls sit next to Issei to look at the book. Murayama. Well, it is a great book, Issei. Cadis. Hey Issei, what do you think about going to karaoke in a week? Cadis accidentally puts his hand on Issei's left shoulder, causing her to groan in pain. Cadis, noticing this, asked him. Cadis. What happened to you? Issei. Well Issei gets up and turns around to unbutton her shirt, revealing her black bra, but on her back the girls covered their mouths because she had marks from blows, cuts, and from having been hit with a belt. Cadis. It was your mother again, wasn't it? Issei. You know how that lady is. Issei buttons his shirt again. Murayama. I think we should do something now, Issei. It's not fair that you get beaten up for simple things. Issei. I know, but if I do it, it will only make things worse. Besides, I might get kicked out of the house and if they do, I won't know where to stay. Murayama. You can stay at my house. My mother would be happy to have you in my house as my mother. Issei, thank you Murayama. Murayama. You're welcome, that's why we friends are here. Issei. Issei puts on a serious face, dude, that was her sister Izumi. Izumi. Wani-chan, I was looking for you, breathing heavily, you forgot your lunch. Izumi shows her food topper, but she only says. Issei. I don't want anything to do with you. Izumi felt bad about that. Izumi. But Wani-chan, please at least accept it. Murayama. Didn't you understand that she wants nothing to do with you and your family? You'd better stop bothering her. You're not doing anything to help her, so you'd better leave. Izumi leaves, feeling sad because she was rejected again by her sister. Murayama and the other two carefully hugged Issei when another tremor, this time a little stronger, occurred. Everyone immediately left the classrooms to go outside. Issei and her friends lost their balance and fell to the ground. The sound of the earth rumbled, along with thunder and other things, could be heard. The tremor passed and everyone calmed down. Murayama. Another tremor this week like the others. Hades. It's already very strange that it trembles very often. Issei and the others went to their rooms but were seen by Rias who was in her club. Rias. That girl has a sacred gear, the fallen must go after her. I have to act when I kill her so I can have her in my retinue and free myself from this commitment. Rias only thought about the power of people with sacred gear and because of her, many have died in Kuoh due to the fallen. The club door was opened by Sona. Rias. Sona. Sona. Did you feel the tremor? Rias. Yes. Sona. Rias, it may be that the dragon is already waking up from hibernation. Rias. You're going to start with that again, aren't you? I already told you that dragon is just a legend, he's dead. Sona. But these tremors aren't normal and they also release a strange aura in the cracks. I think there's a lake under Kappa. Please, you must believe. If he's real, he'll only bring destruction to the three races. Rias. It's a legend. It's impossible for someone who is dead to come back to life, so you should forget about it. Sona. If he awakens he will bring order to the entire world and end the other factions that were present in the destruction of his faction. Rias, please believe me. Rias. Sona is a legend, he's dead, someone who's dead can't come back. Sona. What if it's not true? What if he's alive? These tremors are happening every day, that's not normal. He'll come back and then. Half. It was the sound of a slap. Rias had slapped her best friend and when she saw what she had done, she got so nervous that she tried to apologize, but it was in vain. Sona. Don't come near me. From now on, we're no longer friends, we'll only be rivals. Never speak to me again, Rias Gremory. And I hope that when he wakes up, you'll see that he was alive and you'll see your mistake in not believing me because he'll want to destroy your clan along with everyone else's except mine. Sona left the club, leaving Rias very sad about what she did, but another tremor shook everything. It wasn't as strong, but it was. Tokyo, Japan. In Tokyo, a paranormal investigator named Takashi was studying the tremors that have been occurring lately in Japan and beyond. The president of Japan has been very distressed by these constantly occurring tremors. He had books everywhere about supernatural beings and the void dragon. Takashi. Yes, exactly, if the points coincide, the epicenter of these tremors is in Kuoh under your feet, that means he must be down there. The void dragon is awakening from his hibernation, takes his book and reads a paragraph. When the red eclipse forms and its light strikes the void dragon, he will awaken from his 2000-year hibernation. That means he is real, and these tremors are proof that he exists and is about to awaken. Father, you were right, you were absolutely right about him. Very soon I will awaken and destroy every celestial dragon god that exists in this world to reach Helios. I don't care how long it takes, I know I will finish him off. Chapter 6. Many students could be seen leaving the academy because classes had ended. Issei left before everyone else to avoid seeing her brothers. She hated them intensely, as her mother had always blamed her for letting herself be swayed by her own words, who told her that her daughter was a disgrace to the Hyoudou family for not being intelligent or achieving something that others couldn't. It was for this reason that she beat Issei for being useless and not good at sports. Issei stopped on the bridge where the highway used to be, watching cars come and go. She also saw the cracks in the street caused by the tremors, as well as helicopters flying to help the people affected by the earthquakes that had been occurring for no apparent reason. They might be in Japan, a place where earthquakes are common, but for them to happen so frequently, especially in the same place, was very strange. Issei seemed a little sad because her boyfriend had cheated on her with her sister, Akame. Furthermore, her teacher told her that she was doing a little better overall, but that she needed to study because some teachers were getting fed up with the complaints from her parents, who told them to take Issei out of school if she wasn't good. The teachers defended her, even though she wasn't good in other subjects, but at least she was trying hard to achieve something. Issei sighed sadly, but noticed something on the ground where she had been standing. It was a bright red stone. Issei picked it up and upon closer inspection, it looked more like a gem. It had strange writing on it, like odd symbols. But. Excuse me, are you Issei Hyoudou? Issei turned around and saw a boy with black hair and orange eyes. Issei? Yes, that's me. What do you need from me? Nice to meet you. I'm Axon. I've seen you crossing this bridge for a while now, and that's why I fell in love with you. I want to ask you, will you be my girlfriend? Issei was shocked, but the pain she felt from how her ex-boyfriend had cheated on her with her sister was overwhelming. Issei? I'm sorry, but I can't be your girlfriend. The boy seemed sad, but inside he was feeling something else. But if you'd like, we can go out on Saturday. What do you think? Axon? That sounds good. I'll be waiting for you at 6:30 in Kuoh Park. Issei left happy after her date, unaware that she had only condemned herself, or so she thought. When she stepped off the bridge, she wasn't prepared for the fact that she was being watched by a lowly with white hair and a very serious expression. I have to warn you that the fallen angel has made his move. The lowly left unaware that she had been seen by 4 hooded figures from the Black Dragon cult. They knew Ria's intentions because she hadn't done anything against the fallen angels, but now that they had found the dragon, they had found the perfect sacrifices for when it awakened. However, they still needed 40 more. There had to be 45 sacrifices, either fallen angels or demons. Hooded figure 1. Who does that damned Gremory think she is, letting that girl be killed? Hooded figure 2. What do we do? Hooded figure 4. We have to wait. As you know, our leader asked us to observe that girl since she carries the power of an evil dragon who served the void dragon before it went into hibernation, and now she is the one who possesses its power and must serve it. Hooded figure 3. But she's the voice actress, isn't that a problem? Hooded figure 4. Don't worry, she also believes the dragon is alive, so I think that when we tell them we found it, she'll join us and live happily without any mistreatment or anything. Come on, we have to tell the leader about this. The hooded figures leave at great speed towards the mountain where the entrance to the place where the others were was located. UN. The presidents of all the continents were seen there to discuss something urgent, and that was because of the large earthquakes that were not only happening in Japan, but in almost the entire world, affecting the largest and most populated cities. Also present was the scientist who had the book about the void dragon and the upcoming red eclipse. The US president. Well, as you know, these earthquakes have been occurring in Japan, and we want to know with more certainty where the epicenter is and why all the secrecy here among the scientists and meteorologists. President of Japan. The tremors are occurring in Kuoh, which is located in Japan. We know that tremors happen constantly for unknown reasons, but these tremors never happen frequently, so we believe it's something else. President of Russia. What do you mean? The president of Russia and another person awaited the president of Japan's response. President of Japan. We believe it's the awakening of a being from a legend, the Void Dragon. That name made everyone serious, as they had heard the story of the Void Dragon, but had never had the opportunity to consider whether it was real or not. President of Italy. Hahaha, a dragon from a legend is very stupid. Japan and its legends now want us to look stupid for believing that a being like that dragon could be alive. The researcher and scientist got fed up and decided to speak. Takashi. What do we gain by lying? What my president says is true, the legend of the Void Dragon is true. No one believed Professor Takashi's words. US President. How can you be so sure of that? Takashi. You see, these tremors are not normal at all. They occur from time to time, but they can't happen repeatedly, increasing in magnitude. That's why I brought this. He took the book he was reading out of his backpack. Takashi. In this book is the prophecy, the location of the dragon, and what can awaken it. Listen to this. When the red eclipse forms and its light strikes the void dragon, it will awaken from its 2000-year hibernation. This tells us that it will awaken because of the eclipse that will form soon. If the legend is real, we have to take action. US President. Are you telling us that we should destroy that dragon? Takashi. No. Russian President. Why not? You said that dragon is about to awaken from its hibernation, and I also read that story, and it will only bring destruction to the world if it manages to awaken. Takashi. With all due respect, the Void Dragon does not wish to destroy the entire world. It is a guardian, the guardian of the whole world. This world is its realm. President of China. That dragon is a danger. If we don't do something soon, it will destroy everyone. President of the USA. If the legend is true, then let's send ships to Kuoh, Japan. We will send more than 300 men to try to locate the dragon. We will kill it while it is asleep. Takashi and the president of Japan knew that they were making a grave mistake by doing that. They knew that nothing can kill the Void Dragon. Human weapons and nuclear bombs would be useless. How? It was already Saturday, so Issei was already in the park waiting for Axon. Issei was wearing a pink dress and carrying a bag. Issei. I hope you like this dress I'm wearing. Issei. Issei turned around and saw that it was Axon who seemed to be running towards her. Issei smiled slightly. Axon. Sorry, did I make you wait? Issei. No, on the contrary. Axon. Okay, what do you want to do first? Issei. I know what to do. Issei took Axon straight to the movie theater. Issei had received a brochure before Axon arrived, so he didn't notice. Issei and Axon watched a very nice movie, but it also had blood and everything, but they still liked it. Afterwards, they went to a store to buy clothes. Issei bought clothes for Axon, and he bought clothes for her. Then they went to take some pictures as a couple until night fell. Issei and Axon had arrived back at the park. Issei was still carrying her bag with some purchases. Issei. That was a fun day. Axon. Yes, it was. Night was falling, and there was hardly anyone left in the park. You couldn't even see many people walking or anything. Axon. Issei, I want to ask you something. Issei. What is it? Axon. Would you do anything for me? Issei. Yes. Axon approached her, and she was a little nervous. She didn't know why, but what came next frightened her. Axon. Will you die for me? Issei was startled by that question. Then, the place where they were was surrounded by what seemed to be a dimension, and the sky turned purple. Axon was surrounded by a strange aura that caused new clothes to appear on him, along with 2 pairs of black wings like a raven's, which greatly surprised Issei. Axon. It was fun while it lasted, but you possess a sacred gear that is a danger to us. Your presence is a threat, so I must eliminate you so you don't cause us any more trouble. Axon created a red light spear in his right hand and threw it at Issei. She closed her eyes, awaiting her end, but it never came. She opened her eyes and saw that she was protected by a kind of black shield. Axon was impressed and didn't know what had happened, but they heard footsteps approaching from the side. I think you're mistaken, fallen angel. You are a threat to humans like us. Issei and Axon saw that it was a group of 12-headed figures, but some surrounded Issei as if protecting her. Axon. Well, if you aren't pathetic humans who think they're so great. Headed figure. You say that when your hands are stained with the blood of many innocents you've killed just for possessing a sacred gear, and you consider them a threat. Axon. Well, it's true, I've killed humans, even children, for being a threat to us. Hooded figure. Well, let us tell you something, fallen angel, you are the perfect piece for the sacrifice. Axon. Sacrifice of what humans? Hooded figure. For the void dragon. That name impressed both Issei and Axon, since humans almost believed that dragon was a legend. Axon. Don't talk nonsense, that dragon is dead. Hooded figure. You think so? Then what is this? He shows a piece of a red gem with symbols that Axon recognized, and Axon felt terror, since it was the gem from one of the parts of the void dragon's body that had fallen. Axon. Impossible, that dragon is dead, how is this possible? Hooded figure. Well, it's possible because we found him, and we already know how to awaken him, so he can bring order to the world and destroy you for everything you've done, and that's why you're going to die. The hooded figures drew weapons that were sacred gears. One drew a sword, another a bow and arrow, another a scythe, a hammer, an axe-like weapon, among other things that could be useful. Axon created his souls of light and fired them at the hooded figures, who moved at great speed, dodging the spears. One jumped and almost cut Axon, but he reacted and landed a kick. He was then struck by another who had 2 electric gloves. This one hit him repeatedly until he grabbed him by the head and delivered a powerful electric shock, causing him to scream in pain. Axon was angered by the humiliation. He created many spears of light, one of which nearly killed a member of his group, but it didn't. The one wielding the scythe hurled it at Axon, who dodged it, and the scythe spun back to its owner. Axon. I have to admit, they are strong. Axon created a slightly larger spear and fired it at Issei, who was startled, but the spear was split in 4 by the scythe of one of the hooded figures. Axon became angry again and attacked. The fight was quite tough. Axon was being humiliated by mere humans. He received a sword cut to his back, 3 arrows pierced his legs, and finally, one of his wings was cut off as punishment. Hooded figure. This is the end for you. He prepared his scythe to kill him, but he couldn't because someone stopped him. Stop. He turned and saw Rias and her entourage. Rias. I order you to leave that fallen one alone. Hooded figure. Why? Rias. If you kill him, it will start a holy war, and we don't want that. Hooded figure. Oh, so because you don't want another war to break out, you don't kill the cadre's roaming cow, ha 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 ha, you really are a damn bitch. You let so many people die just because of your selfishness. You claim to own these territories, but it seems you're not doing an excellent job as an owner. Rias. How dare you? Let that fallen go now. The hooded figures look at each other and nod, letting Axon go. As he takes a step, a lightning claw snatches him underground and pulls him away. Rias? What have you done? Hooded figure. What we had to do. We won't allow the fallen to live. Go to the base and take that girl with us. The hooded figures take Issei and leave at great speed. Hooded figure. You're not people who care about humans. Rias? Of course we do, we care about humans. Hooded figure. Then why did you want that girl to be killed by the fallen? Rias didn't know how they knew her plan. Hooded figure. You only care about the power she carries within her. That proves you're just arrogant, like all demons except the Sitri. That's why the Void Dragon hated them so much, and that's why they had to be exterminated. Rias, enraged, fired a destruction attack that struck the hooded figure in the chest, sending him crashing into a tree. Rias grabbed him by the neck, demanding he speak. Rias. Who are you, and who do you serve? Hooded figure. The first of many, the Avatar of Destruction, the Black Death. If one of his heads is cut off, another will replace it. He removed a tooth, which was more like a pill, bit into it, and foam slowly began to ooze from his mouth. The Void Dragon will be reborn, my lord. Perhaps I couldn't fulfill my goal of awakening you, but I'm so glad to have met you. Thank you so much, my lord. The hooded figure dies, and his sacred gear leaves his body and goes to the mountain that Rias and the others see, thinking it was for some reason that he went there. Mountain. Inside the mountain, or rather, deep within the mountain, Issei lies on what appears to be a bed. In her dream, Issei began to see a large crimson dragon, as well as a girl staring intently at her. Become stronger so that you may serve by his side, Issei. Become the Sekiryuutei of the Void Dragon and live by his side for all eternity. Issei awoke to the sight of the dragon and the girl's words, which she didn't understand why she always said the same thing to her. Well, you're awake. Issei turns and sees the leader, Itsuku. Itsuku? You've been asleep for 2 hours. Issei? Where am I? Itsuku? You're under Mount Kuoh, more than 1,000 meters underground. Issei? What am I doing here? Itsuku? My men saved you because you believe in the Void Dragon, don't you? Issei didn't understand why he was asking her that, but she answered. Issei? Yes, I do believe he exists. Itsuku smiled slightly and left the room, but called out from outside. Itsuku? Come, I'll show you why you're here. Issei decided to follow Itsuku. For some reason, she wanted to know what they were doing at a depth of over 1,000 meters. Issei found Itsuku in one of the corridors and began to follow him. As they walked, she could see writings engraved on the walls, gems of different colors, and skeletons of angels, fallen angels, and demons as decoration. Itsuku? We call ourselves the Cult of the Black Dragon. For the past 10 years, we have had the mission of finding the Void Dragon to bring order to this world. Issei? Order? Itsuku? Yes, its hibernation caused people to see the dragon as a mere legend. Nowadays, things have happened. Pollution, overpopulation, war, massacres, grapes. Mass extinction is already at stake, Issei, and if this doesn't stop, the world will cease to exist, and we with it. That's why we want the Void Dragon to return to life. It can bring order to this world, make the forests grow back, stop the wars and destroy the pollution, make the polar ice caps return, prevent the extinction of endangered animals, and much more. That's why hundreds like us have had the same mission. To find the dragon. Issei? And did you find it? Itsuku? See for yourself. When they reached the end of the tunnel, Issei was speechless and in shock. She was looking at the great Void Dragon, covered in rock. The gems that covered almost its entire body glowed a very bright red. Itsuku? There's only 1 week left until he awakens from hibernation and restores order to the entire world. What do you think? Issei? It's magnificent. I knew he was real, but I didn't think he'd been under our feet all this time. So, are these tremors his doing? Itsuku? Yes, the tremors are his. He's awakening, and that's why there have been so many tremors lately. Issei, I need you to keep this a secret. No one must know that the dragon is alive and that he's under Kuoh. If you do, they'll find a way to kill him, and some humans will consider him a threat because of his size and power. Issei? I promise. Heaven. Gabriel's room. Gabriel, the most beautiful and pure seraph in heaven, was asleep, but she tossed and turned as if she were having a bad dream. Gabriel dreamed. She was in the same place, seeing the destroyed sky, everything in flames, her brothers dead in the worst way, the underworld also destroyed, except for the Sitri clan, Phoenix, those clans had turned against the underworld, Gregory was also destroyed, the realm of the celestial dragon gods was also destroyed, Helios, Great Red, Office and all dead. Gabriel was so scared that she heard a voice that terrified her. This is what you have caused by destroying my clan and my family. Now it is my turn to take everything from you. The eclipse is about to arrive and when it happens, the 3 factions will cease to exist. Gabriel woke with a start, knowing that the dragon was about to awaken. Gabriel ran from her room towards where her brother Michael was. When Michael entered the room, he looked at Jan with surprise, but then with concern because terror was etched on his sister's face. Michael. Gabriel, what's wrong? Gabriel. Brother, he's waking from hibernation. The end of the three factions is near. We have to do something before he awakens. Michael knew his sister wasn't lying, so he had to do something. Michael. Everyone, get ready. I want you to search high and low for that dragon. I don't care how long it takes, find him before he awakens. But Dulio was in a corner, thinking. Dulio. No matter how much they search for him, he will kill us all. It's time to face the consequences of our actions. Please forgive me, friend, I never meant to do this, forgive me, Issei. Many angels left heaven and went all over the world in search of that dragon to prevent his return. How underground. The leader watched the dragon slowly moving, and the pieces of rock that covered him fell to the ground. Leader. Brothers and sisters, it won't be long now. It won't be long before the red eclipse forms, and then he will return and bring death and darkness to heaven, hell, and Gregory. Everyone shouted with excitement. Issei watched all this in amazement because they loved and praised the void dragon. Issei felt that he was the one from her dreams, that dragon who saw her in all her dreams, and she always painted him as he was. Somewhere in the underworld. In an evil castle, a vast army of demons was gathered, bearing a strange symbol known to many as the Chaos Brigade, a terrorist organization. Their leader, Rias, seemed pleased because he had finally discovered the void dragon's location and intended to destroy it. Rias. Hahaha, void dragon. You will fall at my feet, I know every dragon's weakness. In his hand, he held a sword bathed in Samuel's blood. When I kill you, I will take your power and become the most powerful being in the entire universe. How underground. Everyone continued with their duties, preparing for the sacrifice. The leader, Itsuku, was watching the dragon, but beside him stood two hooded figures. Itsuku. It's a surprise that you wish to join us for the awakening of the void dragon. But tell me, why did you join us, Lady and Lord Sitri? Both removed their hoods, revealing Lord and Lady Sitri, who were standing there with soldiers behind them. Lady Sitri. We want the dragon to return to life and destroy the other houses of the underworld. For years we have grown tired of how they treat us, and I want my daughters to have a good future. Itsuku. What do you offer in return to prove you are truly on our side? Lord Sitri snapped his fingers, and 10 rogue demons appeared before Itsuku, bound by anti-magic chains. Lord Sitri. These rogue demons roam Kuoh so that the dragon may awaken. Itsuku considered this, and upon seeing the others, they nodded. Itsuku. We accept. Welcome to the cult of the Black Dragon. Chapter 7. Issei was shocked to see the dragon of her dreams, the one who ruled the ethereal world and brought terror to supernatural beings, right in front of her eyes in a state of hibernation. She noticed his scales already showing some color because he was causing tremors, and pieces of rock and dried magma were falling from his body. She saw how the cult members brought Axon and the demons that Lord and Lady Sitri had brought for the sacrifice. There were already 11, but 39 were missing. Some angels, demons, and fallen angels were needed to complete the sacrifice or offering, so to speak. The hooded figures tie them up with anti-magic chains, so they cannot use their powers. Itsuku. Well, now we only need a few more to complete everything. The red eclipse will take a while to appear, so we must have everything ready for that day. Everyone. Yes. Everyone went about their business, but Itsuku, seeing Issei blushing and clutching his chest, just smiled. Itsuku. I see you fell in love with Issei-sama. Issei sees it and stops blushing. Issei. I'm sorry, it's just that I was surprised. Itsuku. Relax, by the way, come here, I have to tell you something. Issei follows him, and as they walk they see how the humans put the bones of each corpse that were in the tunnels. Itsuku. You've had dreams of seeing a girl with black hair and purple eyes, haven't you? Issei nods her head. Itsuku. The reason that girl appears in your dreams is because you are the bearer of her power. Issei was impressed. This girl was saved by the dragon when her village was attacked by demons, and from then on, she was indebted to the dragon. As thanks, she offered her service and became his wife. The dragon placed a seal on the girl so that when she died, her soul would seek someone like her, since she had parents who hated her for being an ordinary human. But when the dragon gave her a small part of his power, she became more powerful than before. From then on, that girl helped the dragon in everything. She was also on the same level as a supreme class demon at that time, but now her soul has finally found someone like her, someone who had cruel parents who hated her, just like you, Issei. You have suffered abuse from your parents, and Izumi has never helped you in any way, so they believe you are a thief and a liar. But answer this question. Would you seek revenge against them? Issei. Maybe so, but it's better that misfortune befalls them for doing this to me. Itsuku. Alright, listen, you can't tell anyone about our secret, not even your parents or siblings. They're not trustworthy. And if a demon named Rias Gremory tries to recruit you into her entourage, you refuse the offer. The dragon hates demons, and humans who have abandoned their humanity to become demons will perish. Issei. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Itsuku. Perfect, you can go back home. Itsuku created a magic circle at Issei's feet and she was transported to her room, where she locked it with a key and padlock in case her parents tried to enter to beat her up. She closed the windows and everything else. She wasn't hungry, but on the other side was Izumi, who was sad for not helping her sister or even lending a hand. Izumi. What can I do? Izumi leaves. From Izumi's neck appears a necklace with a blue gem. Tiamat. Try to regain her trust. Izumi. I can't, no matter how hard I try she hates me, I will never have the trust and love she once had for us. Tiamat. Don't give up. Maybe she carries drag, but she's still your sister. Maybe she still has love for you and your family. If only she knew that she no longer loves them and wishes to kill them with her power. She left, but she didn't realize that in her reflection in a mirror that had been there in the hallway for a long time, her reflection didn't move and her eyes turned to fire, a tail like a dragon's, 2 black dragon wings, her hair changed to black and her eyes turned purple. Her height decreased until she was like a child. They have lost their own sister and daughter, but now she must be with those of her own kind and serve him. The girl in the reflection comes out of the mirror and, like a specter, enters Issei's room, who was already asleep. The girl walks slowly until she is on the other side of Issei, who is moving from one place to another, but the girl just smiles and kisses her forehead. Don't worry, everything will end very soon. The supernatural, like heaven, Gregory and the underworld, will cease to exist. A new world will be born very soon, but you must prepare for when the final battle arrives. The girl touches Issei's head, giving her all her power, knowledge, and other things. Issei's mind. She was having a strange experience. She seemed to be on a battlefield, or so she thought. On the ground, she could see countless people with bat wings. She realized they were demons, but on the other side, there were others with angel wings and raven-like wings, being pure and fallen angels. She watched as the surviving soldiers backed away in fear from something on the other side of the giant smoke that seemed like a layer or barrier to prevent them from seeing what was happening on the other side. Until a white beam emerges from that layer of smoke, annihilating the soldiers and others, as well as causing destruction in large buildings, but not like those of today, but ancient ones. She was in a giant city, which was the Black Dragon faction, precisely in the battle she had against the dragon gods. He watched as a massive red dragon shot out of the smokescreen, crashing into several buildings and taking a barrage of black gravity beams that inflicted heavy damage, stripping away many of its scales and destroying parts of its skin or armor. The purple dragon also emerged from the smoke, missing a wing and with a horizontal gash across its chest. He sees how hundreds of attacks like lightning bolts shoot out everywhere, annihilating most of the army that was there, except for the humans. Then he saw how a strange attack occurred in that place that was not shown in the battle. A red and blue glow began to shine intensely that little by little shone brighter and brighter until it made strange sounds as if it was collecting energy. Everything calmed down until a sound like an explosion echoed throughout the city and a huge nuclear or electromagnetic pulse accompanied by seismic waves with destructive rays spread throughout the faction, annihilating a large part of the 3 races on the battlefield. The attack was so devastating that a quarter of the place was in flames. The pulse reached a radius of about 4,000 meters. Thousands of buildings were on fire and others collapsed, but the destruction was so great that the enormous amount of smoke rising into the air could even be seen from afar. Issei, being a mere illusion in that place that was more like a memory, wasn't harmed by it, but she was still shocked to see that attack that could destroy the entire city of Kuoh, or Japan, or even more. And he's not wrong, that attack could destroy an entire continent or even the whole planet. From there, you see how that creature that avoided being seen flies away, leaving a great fear in the minds and hearts of the 3 races. Another memory I saw didn't seem to be of that dragon. She was currently in what appeared to be a village under attack. Demons were the cause of the attack. She could see everyone running to save themselves, but a girl who looked about 10 years old, with dark red hair, slightly dirty clothes, and a few wounds and bloodstains on her face, appeared alongside another girl just like her, but this one had black hair and purple eyes. I imagined the other girl was by her side. They saw a colossal dragon in front of them, approaching them. Both girls showed no fear or anything. They extended their hands to touch the dragon that was avoiding being seen. The dragon came so close, but the girls looked like tiny ants, yet the girl's touch on his snout calmed the dragon, and then he began to glow green, causing the fire to go out in the trees, the grass, and the people who had died to come back to life. Everything went back to normal, but there was still some fire and smoke. Another memory that happened. Issei was now in the same underground where she had been a few minutes ago, but now she saw the void dragon as it was covered by the lava from where it was because before the hill where the cult members were was a volcano, but then it stopped working. The lava was covering the dragon. It's time, Wani-chan. I'll stay and take care of him. The black-haired girl said. Are you sure you want to stay here? Yes, I have to be here, it doesn't matter if I die, my soul will seek someone to carry my power, you, being immortal, will be able to live, and when he awakens you will return to serve him as my successor. Okay, just take good care of yourself. The girls say goodbye to each other, and the one with crimson hair flies off with dragon wings to another place, while the girl stays in that place to put everything away. Soon my lord will rule the whole world again. Issei woke up and the sunlight hit her face. It took her a while to get used to it, but she finally did. She looked out the window and saw many people looking at the sky. She looked and was shocked. The moon was in the sky, but it was very dark, and that meant one thing. Issei, the eclipse is almost here. Chapter 8. Issei was leaving her house to go to the academy, now that she knew the secret of what lies beneath that mountain, and almost all of Kuoh had to keep it hidden. She was now wearing a necklace with a blue gem from Itsuku as a sign that she would gradually join the cult in order to serve her dragon god. Issei arrived at the academy and as always she was the first to arrive. She greets the supervisor and the janitor and goes to her classroom. When she arrives, she feels she is not alone because she notices that her necklace, or rather the gem, is glowing dark blue, which makes her smile. She turns around to see the girl of her dreams. Black hair, purple eyes, and gray and black clothing. Issei, who are you? Over the years I have been given many names, a warrior, the queen of death, the guardian of the void, but you can call me Iris. Issei. Why did you choose me as your successor? Iris. I chose you because you have a heart that loves Issei-sama. You wish to give your loyalty to him so you can live by his side and return this world to what it once was. Less pollution, less global warming, fewer wars, fewer deaths, grapes, and terrorism. Everything will change when the eclipse finally forms and awakens him. My power has been transferred to your body. You can awaken your sacred gear, Iris. Think of the strongest thing you can imagine. Issei closed her eyes and thought of the dark dragon, and so a red glove with an emerald green gem appeared on her left arm. Iris smiled when she recognized that glove. Iris. You're the current Sekiryuutei, that's good. Issei. What is this? And what is the Sekiryuutei? Iris. Sekiryuutei, a red dragon emperor of drag domination, a celestial dragon who even respected Issei-sama because he was the one who named them celestial dragons and also gave him a little of his power so that he could become a divine celestial dragon. Issei. Divine celestial dragon. Iris. If they are capable of defeating a dragon god or even destroying the entire underworld, heaven, Gregory, or even defeating supreme class gods like Shiva, the god of destruction, and Indra, Drake was about to ascend to that level, but was sealed in the booster gar that you have in your body. And Iris-sama is not wrong. Iris. It's a pleasure to hear your voice again, Dryag. Dryag. It's not my pleasure to see Issei-sama's guardian spirit, but tell me the truth, is he going to wake up? Iris. If Drake is going to awaken, you must train this girl well so that she can serve Issei-sama. Dryag. Of course I will, I swear I will help train this girl so that she can serve him. Iris. Well, Issei, I hope you can overcome what I couldn't overcome before I left this world. Serve him, give birth to his future children, Issei, live for him and die for him. A new enemy is slowly approaching and wishes to end Issei-sama's life. Issei. Yes, I will do what you ask, I will help Issei-sama. Iris smiled and disappeared as if nothing had happened. Issei remained there until the gem stopped glowing dark blue and returned to its original color. Dryag began to tell her about his fight against Albion, the white celestial dragon, his eternal rival, but Dryag was no longer interested in fighting him. He now wanted Issei to awaken so he could free him from the sacred gear that prevented him from leaving. He didn't wish to return to his original form, but rather to a size like that of a baby dragon. However, knowing Albion, he would want to fight him. Classes started and everything went normally, but at that precise moment another tremor occurred, not as strong, but Issei just smiled because she was glad that he was about to wake up. The tremors continued for a few minutes until they stopped. Issei was already at recess. Using the gem, she saw the reason why it trembled again, and that was because part of the dragon's wing had moved and was held in place by the hard rock of lava that had been placed there. Issei didn't care. The city would suffer damage when he woke up because he would cause a tremendous earthquake. The Cultism Club. Rias was sitting in her chair, watching Issei. She was upset because her plan to turn Issei into her pawn when that fallen one killed her had failed, and worst of all, the hooded figures had taken Axe into another place, and they would surely start another war. Rias. TSK. What can we do now? Ryu. I'd better not waste my time on that useless butchu, she must have a weak sacred gear, it can't compare to mine, I wield the dark celestial dragon Acnologia. Acnologia was a dark celestial dragon, but Issei reduced his power level because he would surely become a danger to all humans. Acnologia challenged him, but was humiliated and sealed by him because by devouring God, he acquired his power to seal beings in sacred gear. Rias. No, Ryu, she's carrying a Longinus, I'm sure of it. Izumi. But she won't want to become a demon. Rias. Why do you say that? Izumi. It's because she wants to serve the void dragon. Rias. That stupid legend about that dragon is just a fairy tale, that dragon is dead. The Keno. Fufu, it may be a dragon that existed years ago, but now it must be dead, our priority is the humans of Kuoh. Max. With all due respect, Akeno-san, it's possible that she does exist. The Keno. And why do you say that? Max. Well, I used Sirius, and he told me that he sensed the energy of the dark dragon in the city of Kuoh. Rias. That's impossible, we have Kaneko, and she hasn't sensed the energy of that dead dragon. Ryu. Yeah hahaha, that dragon is definitely weak and always has been. Max. Shut up Ryu, the dark dragon humiliated the strongest dragon gods in existence, he killed the former leaders of the factions like demons. Ryu kept quiet because he was arrogant, a womanizer, he left his ex-girlfriend for another woman who was prettier than him, he had sex with her and got her pregnant, but he didn't want to take responsibility for his daughter and told that girl to have an abortion, but she didn't and decided to leave Japan to find a good job and a school where he could continue his studies. Issei was still under the tree, but was interrupted by some of the third-year students who always bothered her. Boy. Haha, but look who we have here, she's the loser and the useless one from the academy, and she doesn't get good grades either. Issei. What do you want? Boy 2. Nothing about you, but if we hear you have a valuable necklace, give it to us and we won't hurt you. Issei. I won't give them to you because they belong to someone very special who gave them to me. Boy 3. We're not interested in her. The boys surrounded Issei, and one of them grabbed her arms to stop her from doing anything, but he received a blow to the groin from Issei, since she was good at fighting. The boy arrives and punches her in the face, causing her to bleed because she bit her lip, but he receives another strong blow from her to his stomach, causing him to spit blood and saliva. Another one arrives with a wooden katana and hits her in the back, causing her to fall to the ground. She then receives a kick to her stomach from the one who hit her in the groin. Another one arrives with another wooden katana and begins to hit her repeatedly. Another one grabs her hair and lifts her face, then punches her in the nose, and she starts to bleed. The leader arrives and lifts her up, carrying her to the tree. Leader. You thought you could beat us? No. Do you know why you can't beat us? Because you're weak and stupid. I'll take this. The leader rips off the necklace and leaves Issei until she collapses to the ground from the injury. Murayama and Cadis arrive. The others arrive and begin to take Issei to the infirmary, but the bullies got the worst thing of their lives. When they left, having the necklace in their possession, the gem changed to a dark red color. Suddenly reality changed completely, everything turned dark, the terrified boys didn't know what was happening until they heard growls behind them, they turned around and witnessed the worst thing in their lives, 2 enormous red eyes appeared in the great darkness, and this being spoke to them. You dared to hurt my servant and future queen, from here I will show you the worst things, and when I awaken I will take your souls as my trophies. In reality, the boys writhed and screamed in fear because of something happening in their minds, until the leader took off his collar and threw it away, so he wouldn't have to see those horrible things anymore. Nursing. In the infirmary, Issei lay bandaged, her injuries covered by the blows she had received. Murayama and Cadis left so they could visit her after classes. The door opened, and Rias and Izumi entered. Rias, well, you know, to make Issei her slave while she was unconscious. With those injuries, she could reincarnate Issei and turn her into a pawn. Izumi was there to check on her. Rias took out the pawn pieces, and as she tried to insert them, she was smiling. But her smile vanished when a shield blocked their entry. Rias tried again, but the pieces, upon contact with the shield, began emitting rays as if colliding lightning bolts or powers. Cracks began to spread across the pieces. Rias moved the pieces aside, and the rays disappeared. She realized she didn't possess magic, but something seemed to be protecting her. This was because before she left the underground, Itsuku had placed a protective artifact on her, knowing Rias would try to recruit her. Izumi. What's wrong, Butchu? Rias. Thanks, there's something preventing me from making her my pawn again. Izumi. Do you think it's your sacred gear? Rias. No, it's something else, and it's not from her sacred gear or magic. I don't sense any magical power, but that shield is protecting her, and whatever it is, it's not good. We must keep an eye on her. Izumi. What will she do next? Rias. I'll summon her to become my pawn so I can become the queen of raiding games. It's a shame that Ria's stupid dream won't come true because when he wakes up everything will change. Izumi. But I don't think Butchu will want to join of her own free will, and even if I offer her things, she won't accept. Rias. It doesn't matter, she will become my pawn whether she wants it or not, because if she doesn't, we will do it by force, we will leave her in a bad state to turn her into a demon. Rias and Izumi left, but what they didn't know was that the one responsible for that shield was Drag, who used it to conceal his presence and magical power. He combined Itsuku's shield artifact with his own to form a large impenetrable shield that even the strongest attacks from true Longinus couldn't break, as the artifact was a gem from Issei's central gem in his dragon form on his chest. Ryag. I won't let you turn her into a Gremory demon. Itsuku was watching everything through a crystal sphere. Progress had improved. They already had 25 sacrifices for the dragon. Only 15 more were needed for the sacrifice to be complete. They had 3 fallen angels, including Rainer, Kalwarner and Donasek. The lowly was on the side of the dragon and his people, and now she was a traitor to her own. Itsuku approached with a black and white gem, which he inserted into Middle's body. Her wings extended, revealing dragon-like features. The tips of her wings showed parts of a dragon's wings, scales appeared in some areas, and a small portion of her hair turned black and white. Itsuku. Now you are one of us, Issei-sama will spare your life now that you have proven yourself worthy of being one of us. Rainer. You damn traitor. You'll die someday, I assure you. Middle approaches Rainer and creates a dagger of light that cuts her tongue and takes out one of her eyes. Rainer screams, choking on her blood, but Middle uses her magic and removes the blood. Middle. You will not die today, but when he awakens you will suffer in purgatory for all the harm you have done. Itsuku. Leave them alone, dude, it's better if you tell us what you've brought. Middle. Yes. Middle began walking away from the sacrifices. Middle uncovered a blanket revealing many sacred gear belonging to humans who had been killed by the hands of the 3, except for her, as she only pretended to kill. There were 100 sacred gears that could have served them, but they knew that their leader, Issei, would do something else with them. Middle. Track the sacred gears before they enter the bodies of their new wielders so they can use them. Itsuku. Thank you. Middle. You're welcome, as long as I help you and him, seeing the dragon still on the rock, I will serve you properly, my lord. Chapter 9. Issei could be seen walking directly to a secret place. There were no classes so she could go and train in secret from Rias and her entourage. Now that Issei knew she carried a divine celestial dragon, she had to learn to master her powers, and for that she sacrificed her heart. Meanwhile, in the underground, Itsuku watched the sacrifices with satisfaction. There were 80 in total, both women and men. The women were there because they had lost their sanity and were broken both physically and mentally. They had been abused until their spirits were shattered. Itsuku inspected all the girls, including the adults, to see how broken they were, so he could help them and make them who they once were. 40 out of 50 were chosen to be saved. The rest didn't fare as well because, having so much hex, they thought of nothing but hex and having henizes in their vaginas, anuses, and mouths. That was all they cared about. For example, they would say things like, henizes, please give me a henis, put a henis in this vagina, I can't live without henizes, among other things. The chosen girls were taken to a room so he could help them. Outside, their parents, siblings, boyfriends, and friends were waiting to see the results. Itsuku assisted in this process. He entered the girls' minds and sealed away the memories of what they had become. They were raped until they were nearly driven mad, but their resistance was strong, unlike the others. Their minds were entered with the help of the black gems. Those not chosen were taken to be the perfect sacrifices, but not before receiving their punishments. They were given 30 lashes all over their naked bodies. The men didn't care because they were corrupted. Others were raped by demons or fallen angels. Still others used katanas to cut their backs, breasts and legs as a sign of their punishment, and then they were hanged. The girls left the room already saved, except for one named Odom, from Odomdori, how strange, but the girl named Kuharu from Ketemonotachi, no Sumulada, Netakano, and Rinken Club will also be here. Don't think I'm crazy. I just saw them on YouTube, or rather, their summaries, and it gave me a better idea of this. You can watch them or not, but I recommend you watch a little bit, and if you don't like them, then don't watch them anymore and send me messages in the comments box if you watched them or not and if you found it sad or traumatizing. Let's continue. This girl, Odom, resisted the treatment and tried to rape a child, but Itsuku pierced her heart with his hand until he ripped it out. Odom's baby became the daughter of her ex-husband, who left her and lied to her with some disgusting men. 20 men were also there, but some had faces of terror, fear, and despair at seeing the great dragon just a few meters away from them, even though it was covered in rocks, it looked terrifying. The girls and their families now served the cult of the Black Dragon and awaited the return of their god so that no other girl would suffer what they had endured. Itsuku. They screamed and begged for a second chance when he could never grant them another chance after what they had done. Man. Shut up. You don't say what's right and what's wrong. Release us right now. We can give you anything. Money. Girls. Fame. I can give you everything but release me. Itsuku. No, and you've already irritated me enough. Itsuku pulls out a very sharp dagger and tears out his tongue as well as 4 teeth, and he screams in pain, but also chokes on his own blood. Itsuku. You damned boars will die the day he awakens. Your souls will go to the dark purgatory where you will suffer your eternal punishment and never reincarnate again. Itsuku walks away and heads towards Middle's progress. She now had 3 pairs of dragon wings since she possessed the red gem, which granted her dragon powers. Surface. Issei was practicing using Drake's power and concentrating it into a devastating attack capable of killing an army or a high-class or supreme demon. Issei. Alright, here I go. Boost, 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 boost. Boost, 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 boost. Dragon shoot void. It was a very different attack from the dragon shot, only this one was much more devastating. The large red and white sphere, combined in those 2 colors, shot out, exploding an entire mountain and leaving only burning rocks from the blast. Issei. Haha, my power has increased and it only requires 16 boosts and I know that with it I can destroy a block of Kuoh. Dreg. Yes, that's right, partner. Your power has increased more than estimated and I know that one day you will become stronger than me. Issei. Thanks, Dreg, but anyway, we have to go. There are only 3 days left until the eclipse. Issei leaves, and in the sky, the moon could be seen, already a few kilometers or meters away from completing its eclipse. Our Academy 3:40 p.m. Monday. Issei had to go to the academy without realizing that she would slowly undergo dragonification at a gradual and progressive pace. Black streaks began to appear in Issei's hair, but she didn't care. She only wanted to be the strongest of the supernatural. She didn't care if they considered her an enemy because they were the enemies, after all, from the very beginning. Issei headed to her classroom, but the students watched in amazement at her transformation, as it was shocking to them. Her eyes were changing to an emerald green, like Drake's eyes. Everything about her would change drastically. Her behavior, hair and eye color, and the fact that she would be a pureblood dragon forever. The dragon bloodline of her family was slowly dying out, and she was happy to know this because she hated the blood she had and wanted dragon blood. For that reason, she sacrificed her heart. She could use her dragon wings, even make her scales appear, and other things to avoid being stabbed or anything else. Issei put her backpack on her table, but it was covered in insults. She saw a group of girls and boys laughing at it, and using her power, she read their minds and realized it was them. Girl 1. Hahaha, you deserve that, bitch. Boy 2. Hahaha, yeah. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to cry? Issei stood up, her expression cold and serious, and grabbed the boy's wrist. Boy 2. What are you doing? Issei. Finishing what I had to do. Issei squeezes the wrist so hard that her claws emerge and dig them in, breaking the boy's hand and entire arm. The boy lets out a blood-curdling scream and faints. A girl tries to run away, but Issei grabs the back of her head and slams it against a nearby chair, breaking the wood and causing the girl to bleed profusely. A boy runs towards her, intending to hit her with a metal pipe. It strikes her back, but she feels no pain. Instead, she grabs the pipe and squeezes it until it bends. She grabs the boy by the neck and punches him in the throat, then delivers a powerful kick to his stomach, causing him to vomit a lot of blood. She grabs him by the foot and throws him out of the room, where he crashes into the wall. The last girl was terrified, leaning against the wall of the classroom near the exit. Izumi and Max watched in horror, seeing how their sister was hurting them. Issei was holding the hand of the girl who had slammed her against the chair. Issei turned to look at the last girl, who, seeing her cold gaze, tried to flee, but in her fear, she fell to the floor and tried to run, but her legs gave way, so she crawled out. Issei kicked her in the head, causing her to hit her head hard against the wall, leaving a trail of blood. The girl appeared to be dead, but she wasn't. Her head continued to bleed. Issei released the girl's hand and stomped on her stomach until she bled from the mouth. Issei. From now on, everything will change. Anyone who speaks ill of me will suffer the same consequences as these bastards. Everyone was terrified of Issei when she took the seat and replaced it with a new one. The students took the boys and girls to the infirmary where they received treatment and did not dare to say who was responsible because they were afraid of her. Izumi covered her mouth with her hands and wept silently. Max was very saddened by what his sister had done, but he knew those boys deserved it. However, resorting to such aggression and leaving them in such a bad state was too much. Tiamat and Sirius knew that Issei possessed Dryag, and seeing her sacrifice her heart impressed them, as none of the other Dryag wielders had done so. She was the first, which explained her immense strength. Classes began, but a certain guest arrived whom Izumi hadn't expected. Girl 1. Kai. It's Hyoudou Kiba. Girl 2. Ah, he's an angel. Girl 5. He's a prince. Kiba arrived at the classroom door. Kiba. Excuse me, professor, but my student council president requires the presence of Issei, Hyoudou, Max, and Izumi. Professor. Yes. Issei reluctantly went to see what Rias wanted, so she lowered her power to 0, so she wouldn't know Drag had awakened. If he did and wanted to recruit her as a demon, Issei wouldn't want that because they would use her as a weapon. Besides, after what Rias had done by not defending humans from the fallen angels, it made her suspicious that perhaps demons hadn't changed from being arrogant, that they only sought the power of humans and then discarded them like trash, looking for someone else to do their dirty work. That's what she didn't want, so she would clear everything up. The cult club. Kiba arrived at the door and knocked. From inside, a come-in was heard. Everyone entered and saw Rias and the other club members. Rias, thanks Kiba. Turns to look at Issei. Well, Issei, do you know why you're here? Issei. No, why do you need me here? Rias. I'll be quick. Do you believe in the supernatural? Issei. Yes, everyone is shocked. The other day someone with raven wings tried to kill me, but I was saved by some people wearing robes that covered their faces. I think they call themselves the Black Dragon Cult. Rias. If that's right, she shows her demon wings like the others, as well as her siblings. We are demons. I want you to become my pawn and tell me where they are so I can make them pay for what they've done because they could start another holy war. Issei. No, everyone is shocked. I won't join your group. Despite whatever you might offer me, I don't want any of it. Besides, they're dead. They were crushed by a cave collapse a few days ago, so there's no need. Rias. Why don't you want to become a demon? I ask, a little angry. Issei. I will live as a human and I will die as a human. I don't want to change my life by becoming a demon, and being a demon is something I hate because I've seen people I love die because of demons. Rias. Look, we can give you anything. Issei. I'd rather be a human than a disgusting demon like you. Rias. Watch your words. Issei. Well, you stop watching me. Rias was shocked. Do you think I'm stupid? You sent Kaneko to watch me. They've been watching me for a while now. Rias. If you don't want your life to be a living hell, become my pawn. Issei. I won't. Rias. I can turn the whole school against you. Issei. Go ahead, but then we'll see who's responsible for all the students being in such bad shape. Issei leaves the club, leaving Rias very angry and frustrated. Ryu. Who does that bitch think she is, saying that about Rias? Izumi. Watch your words, Ryu. Don't forget she's strong and managed to hurt a group of kids in her class. Max. What are you going to do, Rias? Rias. I'll make her life a living hell. Then another tremor struck, but this one was stronger than the others, causing things to fall to the ground and cracks to appear in the walls. Issei was outside, watching the city and how the building swayed slightly. She remained still, as if the tremor hadn't moved her. Issei. You're about to wake up, Issei. Only 2 more days and I can be faithful to the one who won my heart. Advance. Ain't a growling sound. In the depths of an abyss, hundreds of demons could be seen working on something. My hatred burns from the depths of the earth. What appeared to be giant armor pieces were placed on the parts that were about to detach from a large creature, which destroyed the chains with its heat. The demons watched as the immense being began to move, causing a collapse in the area, some falling into the lava and others being crushed, while on the surface, a massive tremor occurred. In the underworld, all was chaos. Great earthquakes and tornadoes struck, creating chaos and panic, and on the coastal areas of the underworld, gigantic tsunamis 100 meters high or more appeared, sweeping away ships and even the trains the demons used. The supernatural world suffers my torment. The creature's head jerked violently as a massive burning nail pierced it, sealing the other pieces of armor above its neck. The impact created huge fissures in the city and throughout the underworld, dragging innocent people into the abyss. My wrath makes their pathetic miserable kingdoms tremble. Airships crashed into mountains, causing explosions. The creature appeared somewhat calm. Large metal bars shaped like dragons struck things like giant nails that embedded themselves in its body. Tsunamis swept away large villages, towns, and cities in the underworld and Gregory. Until the dragon lets out a roar that crashes from the sky directly to the surface and flies off, creating a giant explosion from which he emerges engulfed in flames. He was passing through the seas of the underworld when he roars again, and a shockwave destroys the nearby village, and everything begins to burn. Finally, the entire underworld, the sky, Gregory, and the reign of the celestial dragon gods will fall. All kingdoms fell before the wrath and fire of the void dragon, and no one could escape its darkness. And all will burn beneath the shadows of my colossal wings. The supernatural world will know who its king, its god, is, and those 3 races will burn. Chapter 10. After that tremor, Issei was forced to leave, but what Rias said was true. She lied to all the men and women, saying that Issei was blackmailing and hitting her, and they believed her because she's one of the older sisters at school, and they believed her more than others. All the third and second year students went against Issei, but they ended up in the infirmary with broken arms, black eyes, broken teeth, broken ribs, broken bones, almost destroyed private parts, and very strong blows to the head, in addition to having cuts because they tried to stab Issei, but she defended herself and cut them in different parts of their bodies. Now she earned everyone's fear of challenging her. Rias was frustrated that Issei hadn't wanted to become her pawn, but she wouldn't stand idly by. She would do everything possible to make Issei her pawn, regardless of whether it left her in a bad state, whether near death or mentally damaged. It didn't matter to her. She only desired the power she possessed because she knew she had drag, and possessing a celestial dragon was highly valuable to demons, angels, and fallen angels. These three races all desired the power of the celestial dragons, but Drag wouldn't allow his host to become a demon. He wanted his host to be by the side of his dragon king and lord, and for that reason, he would do everything possible to fulfill that dream she so desperately craved. To live alongside the being who had won her love and affection. Far from Kuoh, just on the outskirts of Tokyo, everything was peaceful for several kilometers around. Blue Dam, Japan, Tokyo. At the dam, Takashi was with one of his colleagues, Nick, a 23-year-old. They had created a model that could detect earthquakes in time, location, and date. Nick was in one of the tunnels with a computer and a transmitter. Nick. Takashi, this is incredible. It's the third mini tremor and the rate of increase reached 5 minutes ago. Takashi. That was 2.2. Our model predicts it, brother. Nick. We finally got it working. Takashi. Yeah, it works, and it's a fact, hahaha. But then Nick received other readings, but these were larger, and he called Takashi on the phone. Nick. No way. Takashi realized this and said. Takashi. What's happening? Nick. The pulse increased again, a lot. Just then, they heard the sound of thunder and dust fell from the ceiling. Nick looked up and saw the lamps moving with force. Takashi, are you serious, Nick? Nick. Yeah, we'll have another strong tremor. Suddenly, everything began to shake violently, causing Takashi to fall to the ground and everyone to run. The entire dam was shaking. Takashi grabbed his laptop and realized the magnitude of the earthquake. Takashi. Jumped to 7.5. Nick tried to get up, but it was useless. Takashi. Please, Nick, you have to get out of here. Takashi peered over the edge and realized the dam wouldn't hold much longer because cracks had appeared in many places. Takashi. Everyone get out of the dam. Everyone started running in fear. Run. Run. People were fleeing, the water was shaking violently, the dome-like structures connected to the dam were crumbling and moving violently, cars were crashing, and panic was everywhere. At the end of the dam, steel bars began to rise from holes in the ground, preventing the dam from collapsing or being carried further. Takashi. Everyone run. Run. Behind the barriers. Another jolt struck, but this one was much stronger, causing Nick to crash into the wall repeatedly. He managed to climb the stairs, climbing very quickly to get out of there alive. Outside the dam, 5 tunnels on both sides spewed out huge amounts of water that collided with each other. Antennas and cables collapsed, and the sound of lightning could be heard. Nick got out of the tunnel just in time and almost died when the ceiling collapsed. People were running in fear. The ground was cracking more and more. Nick saw that the bridge, which was some distance from the dam, collapsed due to the tremor, along with many buses and cars with adults on them. The children managed to get out in time. Takashi. Run. Behind the barriers. Takashi turned around and saw Nick running fast to get there before the dam collapsed. Takashi. Nick, run. But Nick stopped when he heard a little girl crying. He realized it was a girl about 10 years old, leaning against something and crying in fear. Nick. It's okay, I've got you. Nick took her in his arms and ran, carrying her as fast as he could, but behind them the ground was opening up and collapsing. Takashi ran to help him quickly before the cracks reached them. Takashi. Save him, God, please, I beg you. Nick ran, and the girl screamed as many structures collapsed onto cars. Takashi. Nick, run. Nick was almost there, but the ground gave way before he arrived and he fell, but luckily he threw the girl. Nick. Catch her. Takashi catches the girl but falls backward with her. Nick couldn't move and turned his head to realize a metal pipe had pierced his foot. He tried not to scream in pain. The tremor was getting stronger and in the distance, he could see cars falling and the dam about to collapse. Nick looked at Takashi. Takashi. Nick. Nick. No. No. He put his hand out to stop her. Takashi knew the dam couldn't hold any longer and Nick looked at the frightened girl. Nick. Close your eyes, please. Akashi backed away as fast as he could and grabbed the metal bar. The girl obeyed Nick. Nick clung on for dear life and breathed rapidly. Nick. The dam couldn't hold any longer and broke, causing the entire dam to collapse. Huge pieces of the dam flew off and the water surged out with ferocity, sweeping Nick away. Cars were thrown into the air and dam structures collapsed to the ground or were carried away by the water. Takashi stood up with the girl, watching as the water headed towards a nearby village. They knew they wouldn't survive. The woman ran up. "Mother. Are you okay?" The girl nodded and they left, but Takashi stared at the destruction with sadness and shock. How? The cow, all the students were watching the earthquake that destroyed Tokyo's Blue Dam on television. These are live images of what was once the Blue Dam. The screen showed the image of the already destroyed dam with water still pouring out. Scientists confirm that the earthquake was a 7.5 magnitude quake, the strongest recorded in recent months of seismic activity. The tsunami reached a village where tragically 50 lives were lost, including children and babies. The earthquake was felt as far away as Tokyo, where it suffered little damage, but more than 200 people were injured. The city of Tokyo looked a bit like it was on fire, about 30 buildings were ablaze, another 20 had collapsed, and there were fires in some areas. Scientists from all over Japan confirm that another earthquake will occur tomorrow, but they don't know the location or magnitude of this earthquake that will happen on the day of the eclipse. Issei. Drag, it's almost time. Drag. Yes, he's already starting to wake up. Itsuku told me that the offerings are ready for tomorrow. You must be present when he wakes up, partner. You mustn't be on the surface. It will be hell on earth and the underworld, Gregory, will also suffer damage from the approaching earthquake. Issei. Don't worry, I have everything ready for that. Classes continued until they ended, after which Issei went home and packed what she needed to go underground. She must be present tomorrow when the red eclipse appears in the sky so that he can finally wake up and reclaim the entire world and everything that belonged to him. At this point, Issei left her house, leaving everything in her room except for a few clothes to wear for a few days. She also moved her belongings to the underground so she could cook today, and tomorrow she would have to take them somewhere else because after he awakened, there would be no more room in the city. The destruction would be immense. Issei estimated that around 500,000 people or more would die throughout Japan because the impending earthquake was very powerful. Not only would Japan be affected, but also everything surrounding the Japanese continent would be affected by the earthquake or tsunami. Issei. I have to go now, the eclipse is almost here. Issei looked at the sky, and indeed, it was very soon. She could see the moon's shadow getting closer and closer to the sun. It was a great spectacle for everyone, but for Issei, it was the salvation of her master and God's awakening. Sky. In the sky, Michael waited for his men to locate the void dragon. The doors opened, letting out all the soldiers who had gone to find the dragon's location, but… Soldier. I'm sorry, Michael-sama. No matter how much we searched the world, we couldn't find him. We looked in every corner of the planet, but there's nothing. We know he's here, but we don't know where. Michael had lost hope of preventing a catastrophe, but now it was impossible to stop it. Dulio, I think it's time to grease our fate, Michael. Michael? What are you talking about, Dulio? Dulio? This wouldn't be happening if father had never interfered with them in the first place. All of this happened because he was afraid of them, afraid that one day they would turn against all the factions. Michael. And father was right, they would turn against us someday. Dulio. Are you sure? If father had never lied to us from the beginning and hadn't known the power of the Black Dragon faction, surely everything would be different. Father would surely be alive, the former leaders too, but no, because of their fear of being killed. He too is now seeing, and has seen, the consequences. We caused the awakening of a practically all-powerful being, we awakened evil incarnate, the dragon of destruction, the god of the void. No matter what we try to do, he will come for us. All of this is Elohim's fault, and don't say it isn't true because it is. It's all his fault. It's time to accept the death that is approaching. Dulio left, leaving a great silence in the room, even though the angels blamed their father for what was happening. Michael. Father, it's all your fault. Now we'll have to face the consequences of what you've done. Issei was standing on the hill where the entrance to the underground was located. She was looking at the city that would soon be nothing but destruction and fire. Luckily, many people would live, but 4% of the people in all of Japan would die, and that 4% were sinners. Rapists, murderers, thieves, terrorists. But others would die from other causes related to the earthquakes. Issei. It's time to go. Issei entered the cave and sealed the entrance so that no one would know she was inside. She placed a large stone that, to her, weighed nothing. Not even Kaneko could break or move it because of how strong it was. Issei began walking through the passages until she reached the point where Itsuku would be waiting to welcome her. To the cult, since she was now one of them, Izumi had accepted being part of one of them and didn't care about her family because they didn't care about her, so she accepted being part of them forever and ever. Hyoudou house. In the house was Izumi, who wanted to talk to her sister, but it seemed that she wasn't there, and it was obvious that she wasn't there. The door was closed and she thought that she had fallen asleep, so she left, but she wouldn't lose hope of being able to talk to her sister and fix her mistake of not being able to help her many years ago, but it was too late. She wouldn't forgive her, even if she did on more than one occasion, even so she didn't care if she cried or knelt. She wouldn't forgive her for not having supported her so long ago, and Issei wouldn't give her permission to talk to Izumi. Izumi. I have to get one chance forgiveness. Far away. Far from Kuoh, hundreds of helicopters and planes were heading towards Kuoh. These were the Japanese Air Force, sent to locate the dragon that was supposedly going to bring the apocalypse to the entire world. There were around 50 cargo planes, 200 warplanes, and 170 helicopters. Whatever they were facing was large, but they couldn't imagine that what was coming was so immense that even their weapons wouldn't be able to damage it. And then the day arrived. The next day came, the day of the red eclipse. Everyone went to work, to the academy, or did their own thing, but others weren't like that. Issei didn't go to the academy because she was underground. The eclipse was almost complete. Only about 50 minutes remained, and it would form at 12:50. The approaching eclipse would last for quite some time. Everything was fine, but elsewhere in Kuoh, young Takashi was looking at a photo he and his friend Nick had taken some time ago. Without the computer and the other device, it was impossible to know the magnitude and time of the approaching earthquake. One of his classmates knocked on the door and he turned around to see them. Subject 1. I'm sorry about Nick. Takashi, I'm really sorry, we know how much you loved him like a brother. Takashi, thanks Heller. Heller. Hey, maybe we can prevent more deaths from taking place. Takashi. There is no way to prevent this impending disaster. Woman. But you said that all earthquakes come from a single place, didn't you? Takashi. I may have said that, but it's impossible to locate the epicenter of all these tremors. Woman 2. Okay, but what if this tremor occurred at the point of origin and only sent a small fraction of its full force and extent? The dam couldn't withstand it because the earthquake continued, but what if it originated somewhere else? Takashi. Kuoh. Everyone sees it. Takashi. Now it all makes sense. He stands up abruptly and grabs a rolling whiteboard. It's obvious. All these tremors are coming from the same place. He marks all of Kuoh with his marker on a map of Japan. If this is an extension, today may be the day of the strongest earthquake ever recorded, and they'll affect everywhere. The area with the most destruction will be Kuoh, Tokyo, Kyoto, and other towns or cities near Kuoh. Woman 3. Are you trying to say that another, larger earthquake is about to occur? Takashi. Not only that, it will expand throughout Japan and to places closer to the continent. Heller. We have to do something. Kuoh underground. There were only 4 minutes left until the eclipse, which was about to finish forming. Itsuku was standing on top of a large rock. Next to him were Issei, Rin and his mother. Itsuku. We have waited many years to reach this point. We waited so long for our lord and master to finally awaken. There were not just 3,000, but 100,000 hooded men and women, or even more, because they were everywhere. At last, the world will cease to suffer, and people will be able to live in peace without those beings that have lived and infected our world. It is time to continue. The suffering of supernatural beings is their strength. All. The suffering of supernatural beings is their strength. Itsuku. From hell to paradise. All. From hell to paradise. Itsuku. The power of emptiness is our life, power and its heart are our flesh. All. The power of emptiness is our life, the power and its heart is our flesh. Itsuku. The red eclipse is already here. Finally, after 2,000 years, the eclipse finally formed. The sky turned blood red, the clouds black. The people on the surface didn't understand what was happening because, according to them, eclipses don't do that, and it was very strange. But under their feet, strange red roots seemed to draw the light of the eclipse. The sun turned black and its edges red, but the moon then turned blood red like the sun. All the roots led to one place, and that was the dragon of the void. The earth began to creak, columns of stones fell to the ground until where the head was, everything that covered it fell to the ground until revealing its face. The people were hoping that it would open its eyes, and the offerings terrified, but now everything will change now that he has managed to awaken. Itsuku Issei. I managed to awaken my lord. Chapter 11 Chaos and the God of Destruction. Kuoh Japan. 5 minutes earlier. At Kuoh Academy, Izumi was walking through the hallways, thinking about why her sister hadn't come. This worried her and her brother a lot, but not her other arrogant brother. Izumi decided to go to her classroom. Inside, everyone was watching the red eclipse. After that, she received a call from her 28-year-old cousin, Elias Hyoudou, who had joined the Japanese armed forces and was now a helicopter and fighter jet pilot. Elias. Hello, Izumi, how have you been, cousin? Izumi. I'm fine. Elias. I know you perfectly. You argued with Issei, didn't you? Izumi. Sighs, yes, I argued with her and she didn't come to the academy today and that worries me a lot. Elias. Look, she's in a different phase now and I know my uncles beat her for tiny things, but she'll turn up. Izumi. Yes, where are you now? Elias. I'm heading to Kuoh with a lot of soldiers because of something that's happening there and we think something's going to happen. Izumi. I see. Elias. Tell me, how's everyone? Izumi. Well, everyone here is fine and that's good because. She stopped because she saw a pencil moving as if it were trembling until a huge jolt hit the academy, causing everyone to fall to the ground and things to fall from the ceiling. Elias, who was waiting for Izumi to answer, could hear screams and other sounds. Elias. Izumi, she was getting up with the help of a chair, a little blood trickling from her head, and she looked very scared. Izumi. Izumi. This can't be happening, the whole building is shaking. Elias looked out the window, as did his classmates, and they saw that the highway and bridges had collapsed and they could see cracks and even hear the sound of thunder. Please, you have to get here quickly. Elias. Where are you? Izumi. Huh? I'm at the academy. Elias. You're in a small building. You need to get out of there as soon as possible or it will collapse. You have to go get Issei. She must be at home. Go as fast as you can and get away from the buildings. Izumi. Okay. Elias. Izumi, get out quickly. The helicopter and others sped to Kuoh. And Takashi's laboratory. Everything was shaking and it was impossible for them to stay on their feet. Some were running and their classmates were trying to get out but he told them. No. Get under the tables. They got under the tables and everything was still shaking. Heller. Takashi, the earthquake was previously between 7.9 and 8.7. Takashi. The 10th power is now 10 times stronger than before. Don't worry, we're all right down here. Girl. Professor, it seems I was right. The earthquake is coming from Kuoh. And it's spreading all over Japan. He shows her the image of what was red expanding, its epicenter in Kuoh and its next affected location being Tokyo. Tokyo. In Tokyo, Issei and Izumi's parents were there for a job interview and other things, like removing Issei's surname from the registry, as if she weren't their daughter. Guru. I'm done, Mickey, we can go now. Mickey. Yes. They leave and go straight down to the parking lot. They see their driver arrive and pick them up. The car barely moves a few meters before the whole place shakes slightly, causing a small piece of dust to fall from the ceiling. This makes the driver stop and look at it. Guru and Mickey are nervous. Mickey looks out the windshield and sees everything shaking and car alarms going off. Mickey. It's an earthquake. Guru. Quick, let's get out of here now. The driver floored the accelerator as fast as he could. Guru was terrified. Mickey watched as the other car owners tried to run until she saw one almost get in, but the roof collapsed on top of him and crushed him. They were about to get out of the building. Guru yelled, you can do it. Do it. But a piece of the roof fell and brought down the floor, opening a huge hole. The car fell into the hole, and the three of them got out just in time before they were crushed by the collapsing roof. The three of them got out of the building and saw everything shaking violently. They saw buildings shuddering and many people running in fear. They had to get out of the city as fast as possible. Everything was chaos. Fire everywhere, screams of desperation and fear, the sound of the earth creaking, and other things. Explosions were all there was in the city. Izumi was running as fast as she could to get home. It took her 3 minutes and she arrived just in time. Izumi. Issei. I went into her room, but she wasn't there and everything was empty. Then the wall in front of her collapsed, but it didn't collapse like that. It was something else. The collapsed wall revealed the drawing of the dragon, but below the city, and now Izumi understood everything. Everything made sense. But then she saw the drawing of Issei wearing strange armor and with the dragon's wings. Izumi. Issei. Far away, all the helicopters and cargo planes were coming. Elias watched from the window as the sign that said Kuoh moved and a few letters fell, but huge cracks appeared and swallowed 2 letters. Elias and the others were scared and looked ahead, seeing how the whole city and everything was moving as if it were a wave from the sea. There were sounds of electrical explosions, fire and other things, but when they looked further, they realized something worse. The force of the earthquake was so powerful that it shook the largest buildings. They could even hear the buildings moving. Elias. Wow. Everything in the city was chaos. Parts of buildings fell, many people died when they were crushed, others fell into the cracks that appeared, some buildings couldn't withstand the strong tremors and collapsed, killing more people. Izumi ran through the city, as did Rias and her entourage, along with Sona and the others. Rias. Izumi. Izumi. But you. Rias. Izumi. What are you doing here? Izumi. I'm looking for my sister, but something in the city is preventing me from using my powers. Something is blocking our demon powers. Kiba. That's right, but you. I tried to use my night powers, but I couldn't but you, watch out. Kiba pushed Rias out of the way before she was crushed by a falling piece of the building. Asia, who was being helped by Akeno, was crying in fear. The sky turned black with the accumulating smoke. Everything was chaos. The Air Force witnessed all the destruction caused by the powerful earthquake, which filled them with fear and terror. But as they advanced further, one of the aircraft, which resembled a cross between a plane and a helicopter, exploded in mid-air for unknown reasons. The craft fell in flames, witnessed by the two entourages, who stopped. When they saw that it was going to crash into them, it didn't, which relieved them. But in reality, it crashed into a 90-meter-tall building, right at the base. The structures couldn't support it anymore, and the building slowly collapsed. The two entourages and the people around them ran for their lives. Izumi turned around and saw how the people who were running were crushed by the building. Fortunately, they moved away from the point of impact, but even so, she had to take cover from the debris. A powerful dust avalanche struck, forcing them to take cover behind a tent. The avalanche swept away cars, people, and other debris. Meanwhile, air forces discovered that their helicopter had been attacked from Kuoh Hill, where the entrance to the underground was located. They rushed there and fired missiles, but just as the missiles were about to reach their target, they were destroyed by hundreds of magical attacks. These weren't just any magical attacks. They were lances of light launched by Middled. Middled. I won't let them stop Issei-sama from leaving. Middled fired many light spears that hit warplanes. One of them fired thousands of missiles at Middled, but she created a force field, and the missiles didn't explode on impact, but changed direction. 4 missiles hit the city, causing more destruction. One exploded on top of a building, another exploded at the airport on a plane about to take off. The plane exploded, killing everyone inside and causing a chain reaction. Large fragments of the plane fell on top of another, and so it continued until all possibilities of escape were destroyed. Another exploded at a gas station, causing a huge explosion, and the buildings next to it collapsed. The last one exploded near where Rias and the others were. When they saw what was happening, they were impressed because magic wasn't supposed to manifest because of something that happened, but she could use her powers. Rias. Is that a fallen angel? Izumi. Yes, but she's using magic. Akeno. Aren't we not supposed to use our powers? Rias. But something is allowing her to use it, even though she's fighting humans in the air. Middled was doing somewhat well, but she saw that they were still attacking her. They even started firing machine guns at her, but she simply covered her face with her arms, and the bullets just bounced off because she had dragon scales. Somewhat tired, Middled extended her wings, which were those of a fallen angel, but much larger and engulfed in flames. With a powerful flap, she created a wave of fire that hit 9 warplanes. The pilots almost escaped, but they were pierced by lances of light from Middled. She created 9 whips of light and launched them with great force at the city. She could do it. It was a battle, and obviously, this was going to happen, especially since her master was awakening. The planes crashed in many parts of the city. One was still functioning, but due to Middled's powerful throw, the plane crashed into a street where many people were running. The plane continued moving at high speed, setting the street ablaze and burning many people. Others crashed into buildings, others into the sea, and one almost hit a cruise ship that was there with people boarding in a great hurry. In fact, there were more than one, there were 13. Middle stabs his left hand with his right, and from it pulls out a scythe of light that with a quick movement launches a cut that hit 2 helicopters that fell near the hill. The 2 entourages took advantage of the fact that no missiles or anything else were being launched and ran, but as they ran, a plane carrying soldiers plummeted behind them, creating a shockwave that sent them flying a few meters. They quickly got up, but another tremor occurred, this time stronger than before. Large cracks appeared where they stood, so they had to keep going. Above them, a missile flew by and exploded against a building that was collapsing. Everyone saw more and more air reinforcements approaching to try to stop Middled, but it was useless. She even went into the city to be chased, unaware that it was a trap. She stopped when she was surrounded by many helicopters. Soldier. Surrender, you have nowhere to go. Middle just smiled, and threads of light appeared from her fingers, connecting to the buildings near them. Middled. Burn in my master's purgatory. With a powerful jerk, the buildings exploded. Helicopters tried to climb, but the fragments caused the blades to break and fall with the buildings, causing huge explosions. Middle continued flying above where she was until the fireball from the explosion passed behind her, giving her an imposing appearance. In Tokyo, everything was chaos, not quite, but definitely. The powerful tremor caused hundreds of buildings to collapse, explosions and all. Izumi's parents, Max, and the others were returning by train when they heard a powerful crack, or rather, a growl. Everyone turned to look. Even helicopters were flying overhead, and all eyes were on the volcano, Mount Fuji, Tokyo's volcano. Smoke billowed from its caldera until. The volcano erupted. The shockwave was so incredibly powerful that it destroyed 60% of the helicopters in the air. The wave surged through the city, where buildings collapsed and others were pushed by the powerful air current. It reached the train, but it wasn't damaged. Everyone watched in horror as not only the caldera, but also the volcano and the mountain exploded into pieces. Then, chunks of rock and swirling flames flew from the colossal explosion. The city's inhabitants tried to flee as best they could, but the balls of fire falling from the sky prevented them. Many passenger planes almost escaped, but some were destroyed by the fragments that fell on them. Many crashed into buildings, causing more massive disaster in Tokyo. But the worst was yet to come because when a volcano erupts, it sends out a huge cloud of ash and fire at hundreds of degrees. And if another explosion occurred as a result of the first, this one was much more powerful, illuminating the entire city. But it wasn't the only place where that glow reached. In Kuoh. All the helicopters stopped attacking Middle, but she looked in another direction, and so did they. Rias and the others also noticed a great flash of light until a powerful shockwave hit them, knocking them all to the ground. Middle just smiled because this was one of the many dormant volcanoes about to erupt in Japan. Returning. The volcano sent a huge cloud of fire and ash 290 meters high into the air at great speed. The enormous amount of smoke from the volcano began to accumulate in the clouds, turning them black. Little by little, all of Tokyo was blackened by the dark clouds, but the red eclipse was still visible. Purple rays from the explosion appeared where the smoke was coming from, as well as from the clouds. The fire cloud advanced ferociously. Mickey and Guru covered their mouths in horror. Buildings were collapsing, while others remained intact or almost intact from the earthquake. The train slowed down a bit because many people were waiting to be rescued. The conductor couldn't stop the train because the ash cloud was getting closer and closer. It had already covered almost the entire city. Woman. Please help us. Please take us. Conductor. We can't do that. Man. Please, even if it's just the children, please take them. The conductor couldn't do that, but there were about 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys between the ages of 5 and 12, and in the woman's arms, a baby who looked about 7 months old. Conductor. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but we can't take you. The conductor made the train move slowly again, and people were screaming for help. Please. Help us. Take the children. Woman. Please don't do this to us. Sister. Mickey turned around, and it was her sister trying to call for help, but Mickey also went to ask the conductor to stop. Mickey. Please stop the train. My sister is out there. Conductor. I'm very sorry, but if I don't move, we're all going to die. Mickey tried to force it, but Guru just grabbed her tightly and took her to a seat and choked on tears. She turned to look at her sister who had arrived with her family. They were on the ground kneeling, watching as the fire cloud was about to arrive. All those people who couldn't get on the train went to them and also knelt down and formed a large circle, 20 people and 5 children. They all watched as the cloud drew closer and closer until it swallowed them up, or so they thought. When they opened their eyes, they saw they were being protected by a kind of force field and they could see the ash cloud advancing above them. When it finally moved on it was still moving. They turned around and saw the entire city in flames. It was a hell on earth. Everything was red with fire, buildings were ablaze, and others were collapsing. The volcano was still spewing smoke and exploding everywhere, hurling huge chunks of earth. But everyone inside the force field heard a voice. You can live because those worthy of being in a new world that I will create will live with those who have pure sinless souls. Mickey's sister, whose name was Sarah, began to cry, not from sadness, but from happiness. Sarah. Thank you, Issei-sama. Thank you. She knew about the void dragon, or Issei, and that today was his awakening, but she didn't expect all this to happen, not even all this destruction. If she died, she only wanted her children to live, but they were still together. Helicopters flew over what was once Tokyo, filming the volcano spewing smoke. Black clouds began to spread everywhere. The shockwave from the volcano reached 30 kilometers away, burning everything. Trees, mountains, towns, and more. The train with passengers was still intact, but from afar, the enormous amount of smoke from the fire could be seen rising into the sky and creating more black clouds. The powerful volcanic eruption created a 7.4 magnitude earthquake and caused further destruction in the cities near the epicenter. And if it wasn't the only volcano that erupted, there were many more that exploded into pieces, and those were the dormant ones. Hundreds of cities and towns were hit by earthquakes that stopped for the moment. But it wasn't just Japan that was affected by these earthquakes. They were happening all over the world. They weren't as powerful, but they still caused some destruction and deaths. Sarah and the other survivors turned to look at the volcano because this time. Boom. Another explosion, much larger and more powerful than before, occurred, shattering the entire mountain and creating the largest fire wave. This time it went even further. An 80-kilometer radius was incinerated, and the rest was another story. They were still alive and were rescued by the members of the Black Dragon cult. Back to Kuoh. Many people were searching for their loved ones trapped under the rubble. Izumi saw that the other side of the city, beyond the suspension bridge, had also suffered damage. Thick smoke billowed up and she saw black clouds approaching rapidly from the erupting volcano. The shockwave from the volcano had also battered the entire city, shattering almost every window. Rias asked, "Okay, where should we go?" Izumi replied, "I think it's best if we get away from the city and find some higher ground." Ikeno agreed. Rias said, "Alright, let's go." They all left, unaware that the worst was yet to come. The soldiers who had survived Middle's attacks watched as Izumi went to check for survivors. She found a few. The others, who had been hiding in the bushes, spotted the entrance and decided to go in. As they approached, they could hear screams of pain and horror, along with the sound of flesh being torn apart. Many clenched their fists, hesitant to do anything, but their objective was to destroy everything beneath the hill, including the people trapped inside. In the underground. Everyone watched the dragon with a smile. Issei and Rin approached a gem that looked more like a plate. She broke off sharp shards of glass and cut her palm, filling the gem with her blood, which was absorbed by the dragon. It seemed to be hidden by a black cloak, but upon tasting Rin's blood, it moved closer and touched her face. Seeing Issei, she saw love and other things in its eyes, as well as in Rin's. Issei touched its mouth. "Issei, master." The dragon roared softly. "Damned ones, release us." The dragon retreated upon seeing the sacrifices. "Itsuku. You, with your rotten hearts and the disgusting things you've done, deserve to die before the void dragon. My king, accept these sacrifices so that you may be freed." The military planted bombs throughout all the tunnels. The explosions would destroy the entire place. They also wanted to eliminate the void dragon while it was still trapped between the rocks that held its body, but upon seeing the sacrifices, they wanted to do something, but couldn't because they might be killed. The dragon roared with hatred at those people, and they screamed in fear, but their pleas for help and forgiveness were in vain. In one gulp, the section where they were was swallowed whole, even the rocks. All the soldiers watched in horror as they were swallowed, but immediately the dragon seemed to undergo changes. Its body was surrounded by a red and purple energy, and its arms and other parts of its body changed drastically at an accelerated pace. Fed up with everyone, they ran from there, and once they were far enough away, they activated the bombs. They all made strange noises before exploding in a chain reaction. The explosion also reached all the members of the cult, but the dragon's eyes, which changed from a bright red to a purple, opened. Outside, the tunnel exploded into pieces, and some sections also exploded. They shouted with joy, thinking that everything had stopped. With Rias and the others. They were walking while Asia told them all about her life, and Izumi told them about her family and Issei. But they stopped because Izumi noticed a building that Issei loved when she was a child. The building was 80 meters tall and red, almost flat, with a height of 20 meters and a length of 50 meters. "Kiba. Are you okay?" "Izumi. Issei really liked that building." But then another earthquake struck, this time much more powerful than before, knocking them all to the ground. Kiba looked at the lampposts and cables falling in a row, threatening to kill them. "Kiba. Run. Let's go." Everyone got up and started running. "Izumi. I'll help you, Asia, ugh, Asia." They all got behind the cars, but Kiba wasn't so lucky. He fell near an apartment building, but the sound of the structures collapsing made him look up and see many pieces of glass falling to the ground. He covered his head with his arms, but then he screamed in pain. A piece of glass lodged in his left leg, which would have hurt anyone. Izumi grabbed Asia and they got behind a car. Asia was crying in fear because she didn't want anything bad to happen. "I want to go home," she said. Far from where they were, a building split in two, and the top half fell on top of the other, causing an explosion. "Don't worry, we'll all be okay, I promise," Izumi said. But the helicopters, flying above the city, watched in fear as almost the entire city was reduced to rubble, buildings collapsing on top of each other or in the streets, killing and causing more destruction. The earth beneath the city seemed to move as if it were a giant blanket covering something. Explosions rocked buildings, and the black cloud reached the city and was now above it. Chaos reigned in the city, with people running because of the tremor. A large piece of earth rose up, revealing a train tunnel, and a train emerged from it. One building collapsed because the ground had heaved and another near the base split in two and fell to the ground. The suspension bridge swayed violently, but the section below, where cars and people were running, couldn't withstand the strain any longer and collapsed. The bridge itself slowed down, but something still seemed to be moving beneath the city because everything was shaking. Mickey and Guru arrived in the city as the train reached its destination. Everyone rushed off, but those at the back weren't so lucky. A huge crack opened up and swallowed the entire train, with half the passengers still on board. Mickey and Guru had to find their children, and fast. But Guru saw a building collapsing with people inside. Guru? Everyone in there will die. Mickey, help me. You have to get everyone to the side of the building, fast. Mickey did as he asked. Guru? Everyone, quickly to the side of the stadium. Quick. Run. Many people moved to the side of the stadium, but Guru heard a woman scream and saw that it was a girl with an injured leg. He saw the building collapsing, so he quickly picked her up princess style and ran as fast as he could to get her to the others. But then he heard a strange sound, so he looked over and saw that it was the lampposts in the stadium swaying. Guru? Everyone, take cover. The cardboard posts fell to the ground near where they were, but luckily Nadia wasn't hurt or anything. Everyone was covered in dust, which was normal. Guru? Is everyone alright? Everyone says yes, and the girl he saved just asks. Is it all over? Guru goes outside, and the earthquake had already passed, so they could leave and get as far away from the city as possible. Guru and Mickey see Izumi and the others in the distance, so they go as fast as they can. Meanwhile, they were helping an injured Kiba. They all put Kiba against a wall and told him to bite down on a rag or endure the pain. He said he would endure the pain, so Izumi, without wasting any time, touched the glass, and Kiba groaned in pain. Izumi still started pulling the glass out until she was able to remove it, and Kiba almost screamed in pain but held it back. Kiba. I'm fine. I'm fine. Rias took out a handkerchief and placed it on Kiba's leg. Rias. We have to take him to a hospital. Izumi. But Rias, magic isn't working. Something is preventing us from using it. The hospital is destroyed. There's nothing we can do. Izumi. Izumi turned around, as did Max and Ryu, and saw that it was her parents. Izumi. Mom, Dad. They hugged and checked if their children were alright. They found only minor cuts and bruises, nothing serious. Guru and Saji helped Kiba carry him to the bay and away from the city. Guru? Where's Issei? Ryu? That useless girl isn't home. Izumi? She must have come back. There's nowhere else she could go. Guru? Come on, we have to find a boat and go look around a place I know. They searched among the boats for one that would work until they found a perfect one, which had enough space for everyone. But Rias noticed Sona, who had a somber look when she was near her. Rias was wrong. She didn't believe her, or rather, she didn't believe that something like that would happen. She thought it was the void dragon or something else that lurked beneath the city. Guru started the boat and they headed to a place he knew to check if the house was alright. The military, having completed their mission, were resting, but they had to report what had happened in addition to the earthquake. Elias. Sir. General. Did you achieve your objective? Elias. Sir, let me tell you that we destroyed the target. Everyone at the base shouted with excitement. The president of Japan just shook his head and everyone else shouted and shouted with excitement, unaware that something worse was about to happen. Meanwhile, Takashi was recording the earthquake that had occurred. Heller. What magnitude was it, Takashi? Takashi's face showed nervousness and fear. Takashi. 9.9, the strongest ever recorded. Everyone was astonished and Takashi watched the readings on the edge of the stadium. Along with the others, they saw on a television screen outside the stadium that his house was destroyed, as was the school, but some students were helping their injured classmates bandage them. Guru? I don't think he was in the house. It's been burning for over 20 minutes. I don't think he was at the school. Where could he have gone? But the sound of buoys caught his attention. He saw the water receding very quickly and it could only mean one thing. Guru? We have to leave quickly. Mickey? What's happening? Guru? When the water gets like this, it's because a tsunami is approaching. We have to get away from the bay. The military saw many ships and cruisers in the distance heading towards a single location until they focused their attention and realized it was a massive tsunami. Guru, his family, and both entourages were in their boat, speeding towards something they should be fleeing. But they weren't alone. There were over 200 boats heading in the same direction, some carrying children. Mickey, Guru. Guru. There it is. Before their eyes, they saw a gigantic tsunami, 160 meters high, about to break. Guru. Hold on tight, everyone. We have to get on board before it breaks. Guru sped up and Kiba gave the engine a boost, making them even faster. He also gave energy to the others, including the men and women with children and babies, to help them climb the tsunami. From above, it looked like they could get through using the bridge. Below, all the boats were going as fast as they could. Other cruise ships managed to get over and get away with hundreds of refugees. Guru was one of the fastest. The tsunami seemed about to break, so some turned around to flee, but others continued on their course. The boat started to rise on the wave. As they were being hoisted aboard, several things they had, like fire extinguishers and boxes, fell below because of the great height and speed. Another 30 boats with children managed to get over, and the rest were still trying. One that looked like a yacht almost made it, but its excessive speed and movement caused it to capsize and fall. They were close to making it. Guru. Get on, get on. Izumi. We'll make it, Otu-san, I know it. But a huge cargo ship appeared, and it looked like it was about to fall. Its propellers were still spinning. Guru turned the ship, but the top part was pulled down by the propellers. They were relieved, but then they saw the cargo containers falling into the water. They had no choice but to move the boat with great ease, using magic to get across and avoid being crushed. But the rest wouldn't be so lucky. The other 29 managed to get on board. The cargo ship collided with a cruise ship, causing it to rise and break apart. Everyone on the bridge ran like crazy, but when they saw their fate, they stopped. The ship crashed into the bridge, and the wave was about to crash over everyone. But the steel and concrete cable supporting the bridge snapped and fell on everything in their path: people, buses, and other things. Without them, the bridge collapsed, and people fell with it into the tsunami. The others on land started running, but it was impossible to escape something like that. From the air, the entire bridge ceased to exist and began to advance toward the burning city. Two elderly people walking hand in hand heard sounds and looked back to see a giant wave strike a disabled cruise ship and begin to drag it away. They looked at each other and embraced, awaiting their end, but it didn't come. They looked again and saw that the water and the cruise ship were no longer moving for some strange reason until, with a loud explosion, all the water returned to its place. The bridge was still destroyed and people died, but the other ships remained intact until the cruise ship, which should have been crushed. People shouted with joy at seeing it all over. The red eclipse had ended, but the black cloud and its rays were still everywhere. Guru and his family started to go to the city, but their fuel ran out. They wanted to enjoy themselves a little while there, but also contemplating the disaster of nature taught them a lesson. The military observed the city from a distant hill, which was now emitting thick smoke from the underground explosion. Elias. It's finally over. A friend of his named Martin approached. Martin. Yes, it's over, but I still find it hard to believe that dragon could have died from the explosion. Elias. Why the doubt? Martin. Well, it's an ancient dragon, and besides, it could withstand many nuclear bombs, and it died from simple explosions that couldn't even scratch it. Elias. But we saw that it looked like it was going to die, we all saw it. Martin. Yes, but it could be that perhaps it was on the verge of collapse from being asleep for so long, and that might be why it died quickly, but we'll never know. Elias. That doesn't matter, the important thing is that we managed to prevent an evil from awakening. Martin. I wouldn't be shouting with joy, Captain, because… A rumbling sound began where they were, and the people of the city feared it was another earthquake, but this one seemed minor. Elias. What's happening? Tell me. Did anyone measure the vibration? Military officer, I have it on the sensor, sir. Elias and Martin run to see. Elias. Can you pinpoint the source? I need it exactly. Soldier. Yes, sir. No, it can't be, I think the meter is damaged. Elias. Tell me what's happening. Soldier. It's close. It's about 500 meters from here, not 2,000 meters away. All the birds flew away in fear, electromagnetic particles in the air. Elias. That can't be. Soldier. There's another indicator, an underground heat source. Isn't there another indicator, a plasma heat source? No, it can't be. The hill farther away from the one that exploded began to shatter into pieces, not with fire or anything like that, but with soaring dust. It looked like a fire explosion, but it wasn't. Everyone took cover and braced themselves for the worst. The people of the city watched the explosion with fear and terror, as did the students at the academy and those in the bay. Guru and the others watched in terror. On that hill, they could see what looked like stone spines rising up, and they heard strange growling sounds. A strong gust of wind blew everyone away and threw rocks, not very large, but enough to crush many of them. They hid under planes or helicopters until it stopped. Martin. What's happening? Elias. Is that it? He sees a colossal giant body emitting red rays, and the spines were much larger. Impossible. A giant body of something rising from beneath the earth filled them with fear and panic. Martin. What is that? Elias. Is it a dragon? Military. It's over 900 meters tall and still growing, with ground waves measuring a mass of around 400,000 tons. The dragon's tail began to rise, the same as it was 2000 years ago, but longer and larger. The tail crashed down with great force, generating another air current. Elias and the others backed away in fear and horror. Elias. How can it still be alive? This is impossible. Martin. No, if we follow the general rules of life, this makes perfect sense. Elias. Logic. Martin. Listen to me. The colossal dragon finally emerged from the hill, but the large amount of dust prevented them from seeing what it really looked like. This kind of gigantic life form can't fall. If it has truly lived its entire life for 2000 years, then during all that time it never stopped growing and developing at an accelerated rate. Far from there. Itsuku. When those sinful lives full of evil see that they are finally destined to die, raise your voice and shout your humility, shaking the heavens and the gods, opening the gates of purgatory, and bringing the wrath of the divine being. Itsuku had some burns, and behind him were all the headed members of the cult, in addition to having Issei and Middle by his side. I finally managed to awaken my lord. Many years have passed since the last time you were present on earth. He saw the head of his king being the same, but with more horns. So long, god of destruction, king of the void. Elias. All units will be in emergency takeoff. But we haven't finished the retreat. Elias. Take those who are on board, leave before he attacks us, do everything possible to get as far away from here as you can. Take off now. All the helicopters, planes and ships took off, but the rest stayed. No, please wait, don't leave us. From the air, the dragon looked colossal. All the military planes were flying away as fast as they could, but the dragon fixed its gaze on the city, which was still ablaze. Something strange was happening in its chest, and out of nowhere, a shockwave of air was released from the dragon's chest, extinguishing all the fires not only in Kuoh but everywhere. The fire in Tokyo was still burning, but the rest were out. The dragon watched everything with some annoyance, but then it was attacked by warplanes firing missiles. The dragon saw them as mere flies, but it sensed that the pilots' hearts were filled with sin. So, when they turned to attack, it opened its mouth and destroyed the planes with a single bite. Then he would see the other planes and their plates, or rather dorsal spines, would begin to glow and release rays, until he fired a shockwave beam that hit 3 passenger planes that lost control, and fell on top of many soldiers on foot or cars they encountered. Martin. Was that a lightning wave? Military. It's not an electromagnetic attack, it's something else that I can't understand. Elias. Damn it. Elias runs to a warplane. Martin. What are you trying to do, Elias? Elias. Martin, I'm going to distract them to buy time, so everyone can get out unharmed. Martin. Don't you think that will actually work, or will it? The dragon saw the remaining planes and concentrated a great deal of energy in its right paw. With a powerful stomp, an electromagnetic pulse erupted from it, so powerful that it swept everything away, shutting down all electrical systems. Planes and other objects began plummeting to the ground, exploding in a series of simultaneous explosions that accumulated. The powerful shockwave swept everything away, including the plane carrying Elias. They crashed far away, and absolutely no one survived. The various accounts converged, creating a much larger phenomenon, some 1,000 meters high. Everyone watched the dragon with fear, worried it might attack the city. But then a massive stone spike rose up, and the dragon began to climb it until it reached the top. There, it surveyed the entire city and the helicopters broadcasting the entire event on television, not only in Japan but all over the world. Everyone witnessed the awakened, larger-than-ever dragon of the void. It spreads its wings and sees everything until it lets out a powerful roar into the sky, extending its wings and becoming larger than before. Its roar was so powerful that everyone covered their ears. Sona, who was watching this, was amazed. Sona. Does he really exist? Everyone sees her. He has awakened. Rias knew what it was about. The end of the factions is coming, and the era of darkness and chaos in my supernatural world is coming. The dragon god of the void, the avatar of destruction, the void king Issei. When the dragon stopped roaring, it spread its wings again and roared once more, but with a flap of its wings, it rose into the sky, and the tip of its tail struck the rock peak, causing it to crumble and fall to the ground, causing destruction. The dragon flew away to go far away from Japan. All those in the cult were transported to the place where their master would go. Thus evil was now born and nothing could prevent it. But Elias, who was still alive, tried to get out of the rubble, but it was impossible. He could only groan in pain, but then he heard the roars and growls of the dragon flying away. Elias. You miserable bastard. You damn demon. Post credits. Far from Japan, more than 1,000 kilometers away near Antarctica, the dragon could still be seen flying, but upon reaching a huge island, it decided to descend and land. The dragon landed, and a huge door opened, allowing it to enter. Inside, there were thousands upon thousands of its followers building a base or a place for it. Then, below, it saw Itsuku, Rin, and Issei. The dragon decided it was best to take its human form, but when it did and became human, it clutched its chest forcefully, startling some, and fell to the ground, breathing rapidly. "Itsuku. Are you alright, my lord?" At last he woke up. Chapter 12. Everyone at the base looked with admiration and pride at their master awake after 2,000 years had passed. In the end, everything would return to what it was before. Issei got up from the ground, revealing that he was a boy who appeared to be 19 years old, with black hair and red eyes. "Itsuku. My lord." They all knelt before him as a demonstration of their respect. "Itsuku. My lord, after 2,000 years you have finally awakened. Lord, it is time for you to know what has been happening during this time that you have been in hibernation." Issei was intrigued, so he agreed. Itsuku transmitted a video to him which showed everything that happened. How men raped women and turned them into hex toys, the pollution, the death of hundreds of animals, that his story was a children's tale, and that 40% of the population believed in him, but 60% did not. Furthermore, they built cities on top of hundreds of millions of graves and bones of many supernatural beings and members of his faction. All of this made Issei's blood boil with rage as he saw that what was once a paradise had become a rotten world, and humans thought they were gods who decided what was right and wrong, but everything would change very soon. "Itsuku. I know how you feel, sir, but you don't need to worry. We have something that will surely take away your anger easily." Issei looked at him, and Itsuku asked him to follow, so he obeyed. But Rin approached Issei and he looked at her. Rin extended her arms and he understood what she meant. He took her by the arms and carried her on his back. Itsuku opened a steel door and what was on the other side shocked Issei, making him smile with satisfaction. In front of him was the celestial dragon god of fire and ice, both elemental powers in a single dragon that had two heads. The dragon was about 700 meters tall and was held by very strong and resistant chains. In addition, at the bottom they had very large crossbows bathed in a very powerful poison, more powerful than the blood of Samuel, which is the weakness of the other dragons, but that of the celestial dragon gods is something else. Issei lowers Rin and takes out his wings to get closer to him. "Issei. It's been a while, Frost. Are you impressed that my people captured you there? You're impossible to catch." "Frost. Damn it, when did you wake up?" Issei. "Today, besides being somewhat angry about what has happened lately, you're the gods and could have changed this world." "Frost. We can't do that, Issei. We can't use our power to change the world like you did." Issei. "And that means letting millions of people die, including children. Letting women be raped and turned into hex toys for men. You're wrong. Now that I've woken up, everything is going to change, and for everything to change, you must die." "Frost. Helios will kill you." Issei ignored him, and a bit of stone and crystal appeared from his right arm. From outside the door, the dragon's shadow could be seen saying the same thing, but the same beak that Issei had pierced his chest. The dragon's shadow seemed to penetrate deeper and deeper inside him. His roars of pain soon ceased, and inside, Issei held Frost's power core in his hand. Frost simply smiled and squeezed the core, and the power it contained flowed toward Issei, making him its new host. "Issei. It feels wonderful. That's one down, only 11 more to go. It's time to send a message to the humans." Somewhere unknown, Elias could be seen lying in what appeared to be a very decorated and well-made wooden house. He was waking up little by little. He had almost no clothes on, just his boxers and his t-shirt. He looked to the side because he heard a noise and saw that it was a girl with short white hair and her whole body painted with white patterns. She had a mask on, which prevented anyone from seeing her face. She was wearing some clothes, including a leather skirt and a very sturdy leather bra. Elijah didn't know who he was or where he was. The girl soon noticed that he was awake, so she removed the mask from her face, revealing that the front part of her hair resembled the leaves of a plant, but white in color. In addition to having emerald eyes, the girl looked at Elias for a few seconds before looking back at a drawing of Issei in his dragon form, saving thousands of people. What message will Issei send to humanity? Find out in the next chapter. Until next time. Chapter 13. All was calm in Kuoh. 3 days had passed since the disaster and the awakening of the void dragon, who had vanished without a trace. During that time, the city's reconstruction began, fires were extinguished, and the lives of many missing persons were rescued. Around 600,000 deaths and 1 million missing persons had been reported throughout Japan. Nations sent resources and other aid to those affected by the earthquake. Many people blamed the presidents and others for what had happened in the world, claiming it had awakened the dragon and that the end was coming for them, while those who hadn't sinned would live in the world he wanted to create. But inexplicable things have been happening in different parts of the world. For example, let's go to New York. New York 7:50 p.m. In New York City, a torrential downpour had been raging for 3 days straight, not stopping for a second or even a minute, causing the city streets to flood. In one apartment, a meteorological and historical group, 2 men and 2 women, were experts in history. When they discovered the existence of the dragon, they began to investigate this enormous and powerful being, whose sole purpose was to bring about or create a new world free of evil. The first man was named Mark, the second Julio, and the women Elizabeth and Olivia, both 18 years old. They had been taken from their homes for believing in legends, as their parents thought they were crazy. They had even shown photos with prophecy writings and other things, but no one believed them. Now that they had woken up, they were receiving calls from their parents, urging them to return home and be the family they once were, but it was too hypocritical for them to ask for forgiveness. Mark. Quick, we have to go to the airport, our flight leaves in 30 minutes. Julio. We already know, but don't worry, we still have some time. Everyone left the room and headed straight for the elevator to leave faster, but Mark had a bad feeling, so he told them it was better to take the stairs. The others didn't want to go down, but then the power went out suddenly, cutting off electricity to the entire building and the whole city. Lightning flashed and crackled constantly, frightening the younger children, around 6 or 8 years old. The streets were flooded, the water reaching everyone's knees. The pipes were clogged, which was why the water wouldn't drain. At the airport, you could see many people buying tickets and others waiting for their flights, hundreds of planes waiting for their passengers, but for some reason they felt uncomfortable seeing the guards and airport staff because they were giving them a toy medal. Attendant, here is your ticket, miss. The woman takes her ticket and next to her was her son, about 8 years old. Manager. Hello little one, it's a pleasure, here, we give these to all the children. She gave him a medal with the figure of a dragon, and the boy was interested, so he took the medal and thanked the person in charge. Child. Thank you. The lady left with her son, but in reality that medal was something else. It was a teleportation device. Person in charge. It's ready now, with this we have 10,000 children with these medals ready for when the planes arrive, with that ready we will send them to the shelters. In the city, many people were leaving their vehicles and heading to buildings for safety. Mark and his friends took the train to the airport to leave the city, but what they didn't expect was that the worst was approaching at great speed. An 80-meter high tsunami was approaching. It seemed like it wouldn't break. The wave swept away the Statue of Liberty, shattering it to pieces. The tsunami also carried away fishing boats and cruise ships, which had people on board, but the children weren't. Only their clothes were left behind. People ran as fast as they could to reach the tallest buildings, but the wave reached the shore, sweeping away many cars and people. Nearby buildings were battered by the wave, losing their balance, and the weight caused them to collapse, falling on top of others. People ran over the cars, but the wave carried them away and swallowed everything. In the air, you could see the tsunami filling the air and taking everything in its path, and lightning kept flashing. Large buildings, heavy enough to withstand the wave, remained intact, but those below did not fare so well. The smaller ones were swallowed by the wave. Mark and his friends left the train station and went to the surface, only to hear sounds like something was falling and screams. They turned and saw a wave approaching them in the distance. Mark and everyone else started running for the hill. The entire city was flooded. Hundreds of people were dead, but most remained alive, unaware of why. Power lines had fallen into the water, electrocuting many people. These survivors felt protected by something, and when this happened, many people appeared wearing cloaks that covered their heads and faces. They pulled them from the water and took them to another place, where they gave them a medal with the symbol of the Void Dragon. These survivors were now part of the cult and were happy. The wave was sweeping everything away and was about to reach the airport. People quickly boarded the planes and, as fast as they could, they took off just in time before the airport and other planes that couldn't get airborne were destroyed by the tsunami. People were happy to be able to board on time. 30 planes managed to leave the airport out of the 40 that were there. Some started taking another route to their destinations, but suddenly the lights went out and when they came back on, the children, pregnant women, and newborn babies were gone. Only the children's clothes and the medals they had been given remained. Everything that belonged to the children was there, their clothes, even their underwear and other things they used. But then, out of nowhere, they heard something. Bib. Bib. The mother looked at the medal that belonged to her son and it started beeping very fast until. Boom. The medals were actually bombs which exploded, killing everyone inside. The explosions were so powerful that they either ripped the plane apart or set it on fire from the inside. The others also exploded. The first plane was cut in half because the explosives were in the middle of the aircraft. Others were burned from the inside and the passengers opened the door, but they just fell from a great height. Others were torn to pieces or their wings were simply ripped off by the fire. All the pieces began to fall and headed towards a single place. The highway. All the cars stopped and people ran and saw how the planes fell onto the bridges and exploded the moment they hit. Other pieces fell in other places, burning the forests or causing more destruction. New York was nothing but destruction. The water was still slowly rising, lightning struck buildings, and planes that didn't explode but lost power and crashed onto buildings, further damaging the city. San Francisco. In San Francisco, everything was calm, or so they thought. On the beach, hundreds of thousands of people with their children and others played in the water without a care, unaware that danger was approaching at great speed. On the bridge, many cars stopped because in some, their children had vanished as if by magic, leaving only their clothes behind. But then they heard a sound like an explosion and something crashing, so they all turned and saw an enormous wave, 90 meters high, bigger than the bridge. This wave was taking with it cruise ships, warships, aircraft carriers, fishing boats, cargo ships, and submarines. All of them were being swept away by the enormous wave. People ran desperately, but the wave wasn't alone. A storm was accompanying it. The people on the beach watched as the water receded rapidly and heard a loud explosion, only to find the bridge destroyed. They could even hear the screams of people falling and the sound of the bridge collapsing. They saw the enormous wave approaching and began to run, but realized the children had disappeared, leaving only their swimsuits. They didn't have time to search for them. Everyone started running towards the city to climb the tallest buildings. The wave reached the city and swept away the unfortunate people who hadn't had time to climb or were still running. Many ships crashed into buildings, causing some to collapse or explode. The wave swept away everything in its path, leaving 40% of the people dead and the rest still alive. Many buildings were collapsed, others on fire from the ships that exploded and were still stuck in them. This happened in Chicago, which was hit by a Category 7 hurricane that destroyed half the city. In Los Angeles, everything was battered by a large number of tornadoes that destroyed everything in their path, leaving nothing alive. Some began to merge, creating a massive tornado. Not long after, all 20 tornadoes merged into one, creating a mega tornado that was in the center of the city, and everything around it was swept away by the current. People, cars, planes, and other things that were nearby. Nothing could escape. From there, Brazil was affected by an 8.8 magnitude earthquake, London by a massive flood, Hong Kong, China, was almost destroyed by a great rain of fire, not of rocks, but of ships and other debris, and Hawaii was affected by a tsunami that reached as far as Australia. Many cities were affected. The rest remained the same. Nobody understood what was happening, but it wasn't good. They felt they had angered someone whose world they shouldn't have destroyed. While at the base of the Black Dragon cult, hundreds of thousands of children awoke in an enormous room, only to find themselves completely naked. The boys and girls were naked, but it didn't seem to bother them much, or rather, some covered their private parts. A massive armored metal door opened, revealing 10 women who told them to leave. More than 30,000 children emerged from numerous giant rooms. The base was actually over 50,000 meters deep, like an underground kingdom. The children saw statues of a dragon conquering the world, others with strange ancient drawings, and black flags with a crimson eye. A door opened, and all the children entered, entering a huge hall that resembled a throne room. In one room, they saw Issei, in another Rin, in the next Itsuku, and in the last, the largest, which contained some real demon bones, making it look terrifying. They saw that someone was sitting in it. The girl, who looked about 13 years old, with a slim but not too thin body, came a little closer and asked. "Girl. Who are you?" The one who was sitting alone smiles in the darkness. "My beloved descendants, it is time for you to stand by your king and lord of darkness and justice. I am Issei Shadow, the dragon of the void, and I will plunge the factions and the kingdom of the celestial dragon gods into darkness forever." Chapter 14. Issei. From what I can see, some of you look at me with hatred, and that must be because of what I did, right? I murdered your parents, but they deserved it. Child. You damned monster. Even though they were bad, we loved them so much. You should have died. The world would go on without you. Issei. Are you sure? I am the one who gave life to hundreds of people, I am the one who can see the past and the future. In 15 years, this whole world would be in flames and nothing would be left, but now that I've sent my punishments, or rather, messages, the balance has begun to work. The earth will live for more than 30,000 years, but if I want it to continue forever, I will have to kill and change the world to how it was before they turned it into what it is now. Girl. You're crazy, the government will kill you because you're nothing. Issei. They say I'm nothing, but they know very well what I'm capable of. With one move I can tear them to pieces, but I hate getting my hands dirty with blood, especially if it's filthy. The children didn't understand what they meant. Issei. I've seen your memories and I saw that you have murdered and raped girls, you support your parents, even though they did the wrong thing, and you were still on their side, for that reason. Then the children with dark hearts, numbering over 500, were covered by a red stain. Issei. I only choose those who are worthy to be in my domain and see how the world restarts. The children who had the red mark came out, but when they heard the last part they got scared. Issei. Those who are not worthy will die like the bastards they are. I gave them a chance and they wasted it doing stupid things. They grape, murder, steal, are arrogant and selfish, and this world will return to what it was before. You will die like your parents, so get out, your fate is already written. The children begged to return, but suddenly they were somewhere else, outside the base. They started running, but a giant rock tower rose from the ground and shot a giant beam into the sky. Hundreds of lightning bolts rained down, killing many children. They all screamed in fear until only 300 of the 600 children remained, those who were left behind, as the lightning bolts turned them to dust before their eyes. The children were taken to the outside world, specifically to Japan, and the authorities were notified to come for the others, as well as revealing the hiding place. But when they returned, they were in for a big surprise. A huge storm, or rather a hurricane, was protecting the place. Tornadoes, lightning, whirlpools, and wild waves were all there was, and there was no way in. Issei was seeing that with his eyes, which were better than an eagle's. Issei. Alright, you can sit down, I'll tell you my story and the reason why I want to change this world. The children, despite being naked, didn't seem to care. Some sat on the thrones, something Issei didn't mind, since each throne chose its worthy successor, or rather, those who were almost at Issei's level were worthy of sitting on those thrones. Issei showed his memories as if it were a movie of his past and present life, as well as showing the battle against the dragon gods, but Issei saw how a girl approached him while naked and with a red face. Girl. Forgive me Issei-sama, but can I sit on your lap? Issei accepted, since it was normal, and let the girl sit on his lap, but he felt a strange familiar sensation. As if he had held that girl on his lap before. Girl. I don't know why, but being here makes me feel at peace. Issei suddenly remembered something. You know, Ani-chan, being here makes me feel at peace. Girl. It's like I've already been here, I can even see you in my dreams, and I always sit on your lap. I don't know why, but I think it's because of visions or something else. Issei listened to all of that, and without realizing it, a tear rolled down his right eye. Girl. I always see the same boy with black hair and red eyes carrying me. Issei. I think maybe they're visions of the past, so you shouldn't worry about it. The children watched and watched everything until now, and from there they realized Issei's true intention in wanting to change the rotten world into a better one. Upon seeing Issei again, the children knelt before him, showing regret for believing that he only wished to destroy the world. Issei. Alright kids, you can go. There's food if you want to eat, and if you're comfortable without clothes, that's fine. Those who feel uncomfortable can put on clothes. There are rooms for you. All the children got up and left, and the girl thanked Issei for letting her sit on his lap because it felt very warm and comfortable. Issei watched as her master stood up and left, but his eyes were covered by his hair, so she let him go. Issei entered a room that the humans had made for him. In that room, everything shone blue from ice and blue gems. In front of him was something like a coffin made of thread, and inside it seemed to have someone or something, which made Issei fall to the ground and hug the tomb. Issei. So many years you left me alone, so long since I last saw you, so many times I saw you reborn, and now you do it again, Uni-chan. Inside the coffin was the lifeless body of his sister in perfect condition. The cult members found the body and, using magic, restored it to its former state and reattached the parts that had been separated. Issei. I promise you, Uni-chan, that this won't stay like this. They will know my anger, they will feel my fury. It's time to send them a message too. Underworld. Sirzechs and his wife were finishing up their things when suddenly everything began to shake slightly until it stopped. Then they saw the sky light up and countless millions of fireballs rained down from the sky, wreaking havoc on all the clans, demons, houses, everything was destroyed. Thousands upon thousands of demons were killed by the fireballs that continued to fall like rain. Darling. In the sky it was almost the same, only there were red rays that turned anyone to dust. Michael and his brothers were really scared by what was happening, but someone already knew what it was all about and who was doing it. Gregory. In that place it was worse, it was struck by a 10.9 magnitude earthquake that left everything in flames and ruins, dead people fallen under the rubble, dead children, dead women. It was just as Issei wanted it. He wanted to make every one of the three races pay, and he wouldn't stop. It didn't matter if they were children or pregnant women, he would kill them all and only let the other races live and obtain infinite power, but for that he had to become stronger and manage to kill all the celestial dragon gods. Issei. I have to find the dragon of life. If it worked with me, I'll be able to control life and death, which is me, and thus be able to kill 4 celestial dragon gods at once without so much trouble. Hyoudou. In Hyoudou, specifically in a yokai palace, there was a very cute girl, about 12 years old, with fox ears, 9 tails, and blonde hair with black and white lines. She was asleep, but in her dream she saw something. She saw a huge dragon 600 meters tall, with white scales as well as some feathers, but it had some golden parts. This dragon stared at the girl. He has awakened, the time is almost here for me to merge with him, and at last, chaos and light can unite, life and death are destined to unite again. Issei. Only the dragon of life can reside within the purest heart, but there isn't one here, and there aren't even any humans or human children of such purity. There's only one, and she's in the Yokai faction, huh? Ha ha ha, who would have thought that Helios' daughter, the exiled one, would join me to end her father's life? Or am I mistaken? Ymir, the most powerful celestial dragon goddess of life, second only to me. Very soon we will become one, and I will give you whatever body you desire. My revenge is almost complete, and then I will finish you off. This time I will finish you off, Dragon of Doom. Chapter 15. Having sent his messages to the three races, Issei was somewhat at peace, as he now had almost all three races on their knees before him. He felt that around 3,000 demons, 1,000 angels, and 2,000 fallen angels had died. The other races that emerged had nothing to do with what he had planned, as they hadn't existed for over 2,000 years. Issei. Issei. Issei rose from her throne. She wore a battle-like outfit and a necklace with a gem that resembled a dragon's eye. Issei. What do you wish, Issei-sama? Issei. Return to Kuoh. Act as if nothing happened. Stay out of it. Inform me of everything that occurs. If anything serious happens, let me know, and I will come immediately. Issei. Yes. Issei created a magic circle and left. Issei. Itsuku, where is the soul of the dragon of life? Itsuku. She's in Hyoudou, specifically in the palace of the current leader. She's one of the leader's daughters. Issei. How many are there? Itsuku. There are only two. We know from our spies that one is a girl with hair as golden as the sun, who is the future leader, while the other is almost identical to her sister, but her hair is changing color. Also, her mother was raped 13 years ago, and she's the daughter of the bastard who raped her. Because of this, the leader blames the girl for everything. We thought her sister would be the one with the soul of the dragon of life, but no, she has an arrogant heart. She only cares about her mother. She doesn't care about her sister. She blames her for everything, calling her a spawn and an abomination. Issei. It won't be for long. The blue eclipse is almost here. There are only 2 months left. In that time, I have to have defeated all the heavenly dragon gods until I reach Helios. Our battle will be legendary. How? Issei appeared in her new home. She took a piece of paper from her notebook, which had some drawings on it. She touched it, and blue flames erupted. From this energy emerged an animal that was a serpent feared by all. It was the serpent of the world, or rather, its offspring. The real one was asleep. Issei had found it in a cracked egg during her training with her master, and it had accepted to be Issei's familiar. But it was already showing signs of rapid growth. Issei felt that within a month or less, it would be the size of a 20-story building, or even 100 stories, and reach 1,500 meters in length, much larger than its mother. Issei. I know you will have more power and will become very valuable to my life, just as he is to her. Issei lay down on the bed, her cheeks flushed as she thought of Issei. Issei. Issei-sama, I want to confess my feelings to you. Under her skirt, her red panties became wet as she thought of her master. Issei. He still barely understands love after being asleep for so long, so I'll win his love no matter what. Greg. Ha 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 ha, who would have thought you'd fall in love with Issei-sama overnight? Issei. Don't bother me, Greg. Now tell me, who is the dragon of life? Greg. Well, since you're now part of the Black Dragon faction, it's best if I tell you everything. You see, brat, after the battle he had against Great Red and Office, he left the battlefield, leaving enormous fear in all the demons, angels, and fallen angels. But Issei-sama knew that to gain power and defeat Helios, he had to kill the heavenly dragon gods. For that, he began to confront Helios' children, but a dragon arrived with power equal to Issei's, and from then on, the two of them fought to the death to end the destruction. But he was clever, and when they met again to fight, he told her the reason why he was doing all this. His revenge against the dragon gods and Helios for having sent his children to seal the powers of his sister. Ymir, filled with hatred, turned against her family and ended the lives of 2 of her brothers, and their powers passed to Issei so that he could obtain absolute power. Ymir was known as the Dragon of Life, Issei-sama, the Dragon of Death and Chaos. Ymir died, but her soul wandered, searching for someone to wield her power, someone with a pure heart, regardless of their circumstances or what they are going through, because that is Ymir's power. Issei. And is there anyone with a pure heart? Greg. Yes, she is in Hyoudou. She is a fox girl, but her power is growing. She has not yet absorbed Ymir's power because she doesn't know that she possesses a dragon of colossal power. Issei. I hope I can find that girl if Issei-sama gives me that mission. Greg. Ha. If that happens, you will fail, and I don't even want to imagine what he will do to you. Issei? Yes, very funny. Well, it's time to leave here. Thus began Issei's new life, and she would have to face countless challenges that awaited her. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.